so-called one big, beautiful bill.
What?
President Trump's so-called border czar, Tom Homan, said Thursday federal agents will be ending Operation Metro Surge in Minnesota.
Let's go. We won.
I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude.
He's proposed. He said that.
A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue to the next week.
The weeks-long crackdown saw about 3,000 officers from ICE, Border Patrol, and other federal agencies conduct immigration sweeps across the Twin Cities, often while masked and riding in unmarked vehicles. More than 4,000 people were detained as agents routinely deployed tear gas and pepper spray against protesters and bystanders, including children. Federal agents shot 3 people in Minnesota, 2 of them fatally, Renee Good and Alex Preti. On Thursday, protesters continued to gather outside
only
the
cost
Whipple
us 2
Federal
people,
Building
right?
in
It was
Minneapolis,
no big deal.
skeptical of the Trump administration's claims. This is anti-ICE protester Richie Meade.
Actions speak louder than words. So until we see,
I don't know why I went offline, chat.
We don't believe it. We're going to be out here until they prove it, until they stop running this Gestapo SUV, running through our streets.
Let's go.
Murdering our neighbors.
Let's go, Richie.
Until that ends,
let's go, Richie.
We don't believe it.
In more news from Minneapolis, a Marine Corps veteran who served in Iraq and Afghanistan says federal agents who unlawfully sampled his DNA, scanned his face, and cloned his phone after detaining him as he stood on the sidewalk observing their movements. Stephen Sari had gone to the scene of Alex Preti's killing less than an hour after Border Patrol agents fired the fatal shots with a lawfully owned pistol on his hip. He says he was mobbed by federal agents and brought to the Whipple Federal Building, where he was denied access to a lawyer and detained for 6 hours before his release without charge. Sari told The Intercept that federal agents took scans and samples of his biometric data and made a copy of his phone, all without obtaining.
I don't know what's happening right now. I'm done. I think YouTube just kicked me.
A warrant. The Internal Revenue Service improperly shared private taxpayer data on thousands of people with the Homeland Security Department as part of Trump's crackdown on immigration, likely in violation of federal law. That's according to the Washington Post, which reports DHS issued an agreement last year with the Treasury Department to allow federal immigration enforcement officers request access to the names and addresses of people suspected of being in the U.S. without documentation. The IRS reportedly sent data on 47,000 people out of a request for 1.2 million records, including thousands whose private information was erroneously shared. Undocumented immigrants have for decades paid taxes in the United States with the promise their personal information would be protected. A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration facilitate the return to the United States from Venezuela of nearly 140 Venezuelan men who were sent to El Salvador's Secat mega prison last March and accused without evidence of being gang members. On Thursday, Judge James Boasberg directed Trump officials to bring the men back to fight their cases in a U.S. court after being denied due process when they were expelled under the Wartime Alien Enemies Act, secretly flown to El Salvador despite an emergency court order blocking their removal. Some of the men had pending asylum cases in the U.S. Boasberg's ruling is being described as one of the toughest steps taken against Trump's mass deportation campaign. Palestinian activist Laka Cordia has issued her first statement since she was released from the hospital earlier this week and sent back to ICE custody. Cordia's family and lawyers spent several days searching for her, with ICE refusing to share information about her whereabouts. She's been jailed at ICE's Prairieland detention facility in North Texas for almost a year. In the statement, Cordia writes, quote, "I woke up in the Prairieland detention facility's medical unit terrified and confused after having experienced the first seizure of my life. Not until enduring nearly a year of cruel confinement in inhumane conditions had I ever suffered one before. All I felt was fear For 3 days in the emergency room, my hands and legs were weighed down by heavy chains. They even refused to remove the chains when I went to the bathroom or took a shower. The only reason ICE targeted me in the first place is because I protested against the Israeli government's genocide in Gaza. Even now, U.S.-made bombs continue to destroy Palestinian homes and kill Palestinian families, Lakar Kordia wrote. The mayor of New York, Mamdani, has also called for her release. To see our coverage of her case, go to democracynow.org. The United Kingdom's High Court has overturned the government's ban on the pro-Palestinian campaign group Palestine Action, although the organization will remain proscribed as the UK government appeals the ruling.
God, we're getting some
Last
W's.
July, the British government banned Palestine Action under the UK's strict anti-terrorism laws, adding it to a list that includes ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Palestine Action's co-founder,
That's actually crazy, dude.
Who challenged the ban in court, said in a statement, quote, "This is a monumental victory, both for our fundamental freedoms here in Britain and in the struggle for freedom for the Palestinian people, striking down a decision that will forever be remembered as one of the most extreme attacks on free speech in recent British history," unquote. 2 Mexican ships carrying urgent humanitarian aid arrived in Cuba's capital, Havana, Thursday, as the United Nations warns the island is facing humanitarian collapse due to the Trump administration's oil blockade. Infant mortality is also on the rise in Cuba as the United States tightens its decades-old economic embargo on the island as part of Trump's efforts to overthrow the Cuban.
Hassan's going to Cuba, guys. We have live streaming possibly from Cuba.
Cuban government. We'll have more on Cuba later in the broadcast with Cuba's ambassador to the United Nations.
Viva la revolution! Viva la revolution!
U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright arrived in Venezuela Wednesday as the Trump administration seeks control over Venezuela's oil industry. Wright's the highest-ranking U.S. official to visit Venezuela since Trump's military attack and abduction of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife in early January. Wright met with interim Venezuelan President Delcy Rodriguez.
I can't with this guy.
The Venezuelan people welcome those who come to our country with open arms.
Don't get me wrong, like, we've been doing this forever, under all presidents, right? To an extent. But this is like, turn up the gas, go 100 miles an hour, and do it out in the open. That's what this is. This is insanity. We cannot treat our neighbors like this.
We are also willing to welcome investors from around the world, including the United States.
Yeah, this is not for the people, you guys. You know that, right?
To work alongside us, bringing the oil industry up to the highest standards.
On Thursday, Wright toured facilities in Venezuela's Orinoco Belt, which holds one of the largest reserves of crude oil, with Chevron officials. Delcy Rodriguez's interim government has also sent Venezuela's first oil shipment to Israel in nearly 2 decades. The late Venezuelan president, Hugo Chavez, a staunch supporter of Palestine, cut relations with Israel in 2009. California Congressmember Ro Khanna is calling on the Justice Department to unredact the name of a Republican politician who sent Jeffrey Epstein a friendly email boasting about receiving more votes than Jeb Bush in the 2016 Iowa caucuses.
Who could that be?
The email ends with the valediction, "Love ya," but the signature is redacted. On Thursday, Khanna called the redaction a direct violation of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which Khanna co-sponsored. In more fallout,
remember, they have SCIF access.
Catherine Rumler abruptly resigned as the top lawyer at Goldman Sachs on Thursday after newly released files showed she offered Epstein advice on how to respond to sex crimes charges and addressed him as Sweetie and Uncle Jeffrey. In Norway, police have charged former Prime Minister
you don't get out of that one. Oopsie.
Torbjorn Jagland with gross corruption over his close ties to Epstein. After
Let's go! Torbjorn goes down! Oh, that's such a good name. But what a loser. Fuck you. Norway took out one of their own. See? What the fuck? Why can't we do this? Every other country's like, you're in the Epstein letters? Get the fuck out of here. Lucky you don't go to jail, bitch.
Diplomatic immunity that
So he'll
came
get charged.
with his former post.
He'll get charged.
Investigators are probing whether Jagland received gifts, travel, and loans from Epstein. Meanwhile, there's a growing debate in Norway under whether Crown Princess Mette-Marit should be eligible to become queen after newly released files revealed her extensive warm ties to the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
At a younger age.
There's growing pressure on the multinational logistics company DP World to fire its CEO.
Let's go. Everyone's going down. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine what's in the rest of the files? Dude, we always knew this was happening. Okay, we've always known this. There has been no, on my side, there's never been a doubt that this has been happening with both the Democrats, the Republicans. It's the elites. Leftists have always recognized the elites are the real problem here.
Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, one of the UAE's most
Epstein
powerful
class
figures.
is losing,
he
folks.
traded messages about businesses and pleasure with Epstein for decades. Lawmakers who were granted access to unredacted Epstein files this week cited one memo in which Epstein stated to Sulayem, quote, "I loved the torture video," unquote.
Ooh. What torture
A federal
video?
judge has blocked Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's effort to reduce the retirement rank and pay.
I mean, that picture is all you really need to understand how close they were. Come on. That's all you need is a picture like that. Are you kidding me right now? Epstein watching the guy cook, casually talking like this is like the ultimate. You know him really well. Goodbye, sir.
Quote. A federal judge has blocked Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's effort to reduce
Cosplaying
the
as an American,
retirement
sir?
rank and pay
Dumbass.
of Arizona Democratic Senator Mark Kelly, a former astronaut and retired U.S. Navy captain who publicly called on U.S. service members to disobey unlawful orders. In Thursday's ruling, U.S. District Judge Richard Leon, a George W. Bush nominee, blasted the Trump administration's efforts to chill constitutionally protected speech, writing, quote, "This court has all it needs to conclude that defendants have trampled on Senator Kelly's First Amendment freedoms and threatened the constitutional liberties of millions of military retirees. To say the least, our retired veterans deserve more respect from their government, and our Constitution demands they receive it," the judge said. And here in New York, cheers erupted as elected officials joined LGBTQ+ activists who raised a rainbow flag over the Stonewall National Monument in Manhattan on Thursday. Their defiant protest came days after the Trump administration removed a rainbow flag that had flown for years above the site of the 1969 Stonewall Rebellion,
How dare
a
they?
landmark event in U.S. civil rights history.
They're trying
This
to
is New
erase
York
history,
City
you guys.
resident Nicole Mallet.
This is what fascists do too. They erase
We will not
history.
go back in the closet. No taking down of any flag will not remove us from our nation.
Exactly.
And the legacy that we have built
Thank
as
you.
human beings, as citizens.
And those are some of the headlines. This is
Hell yeah.
Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York with Democracy Now!'s Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.
Hey everybody, Tim O from the Bulwark here. I just got off with Nicole, and I'm usually on with her for the whole hour, but it's a crazy news environment. They kicked me out early. That's some other shit to say, so I'm going to say it here with y'all. And can stick around at the end for
All right.
our exchange, which is focused on the failed effort to indict 6 Democrats at the grand jury there.
This is a
in
Republican,
DMV.
by the way.
And boy,
Republican.
just a disastrous failure by this administration to go after, those 6 Democrats and like just get resoundingly rejected by a grand jury. Now they're going back for a second bite, I guess. So this is kind of like a thank you, sir. May I have another situation? It seems like.
What
but,
the fuck?
We'll keep an eye on that. But one of the things I wanted to get into with regards to that is column by my colleague Joe Perticone, who writes the Press Pass newsletter. It's our newsletter about what's happening on Capitol Hill. You can get that at thebulwark.com. You should sign up if you haven't. He talks about just how embarrassingly timid it is that none of the Republicans, basically with 2 exceptions, have stood up for their Democratic colleagues who are being targeted by this administration. I mean, it's really kind of unbelievable cowardice. Can you imagine working with somebody, being a colleague, and having someone try a sham effort to run them out of the company, and then you don't say anything? I think back to like an 80s movie about a prep school, where the dean is targeting a kid inappropriately. Like, what do you learn? What is the moral of all those stories? Like, you stand up for your classmate and your colleague, even if they're, your rival, or even if you don't like them, they're not in your same group. That's not happening with the Republicans. And, Mike Johnson,
No, they don't care.
twerp said he basically did think they committed a crime, which to me, I just think this is the beginning of the end of Mike Johnson's speakership. And that is going to be a really dark quote for him to look back on when he's in the minority, when he realizes that his speakership is gone for good. And he was trying to jail his colleagues.
You really think
saying
so?
They should be jailed for putting out a video where they simply said that
this seems
members of the
optimistic to
military
me,
should
Chad.
not follow unlawful orders.
This
No,
seems
members of the
optimistic to
military
me.
should live up to their oath. That's all they said. Mike Johnson thinks they should be jailed for that. Oh, yeah? Okay. Well, we'll see what goes around comes around on that. But I was intrigued by Tom Tillis, who's retiring, has finally found a spine. And so he, said that political lawfare is wrong no matter either party. It's like, okay, buddy. Let's not try to compare Merrick Garland limply going after Donald Trump's myriad real crimes to Donald Trump and Pam Bondi going after Mark Kelly for imaginary crimes. Right? It's not the same thing. But I was interested in Chuck Grassley's point. Here's what he said to Perticone. I think our law enforcement people ought to be spending their time on making our community safe and going after real lawbreakers. That's an important point, Grandpa. That's an important point, Grandpa Chuck.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of resources that's being spent on chasing after fake crime by this administration at the expense of efforts to go after real criminals is truly mind-blowing. Like, they just no longer go after white-collar crime at all. If you're a rich guy, you have impunity in this country right now. You can do whatever you want. If you're a crypto scammer, you can do whatever you want. If you're kidnapping Nancy Guthrie, no results on that yet. And yet instead, we have all these law enforcement officers and officials and resources going after nonviolent immigrants and imaginary political foes, Jim Comey and Tish James and the Democrats. It's embarrassing. Like, you have limited resources in any organization. You have limited resources, certainly in federal law enforcement, and they're being wasted by these clowns on going on these vendettas, and they're not even succeeding. As I said with Kinzinger today, it's been fucking embarrassing.
I used to wear these shirts in the
how
80s.
Big of a failure they've been on all of this.
Yeah, nothing.
So,
you're right, Chat. They're doing nothing.
Grassley speaking out of that is noteworthy. When Perticone had a chance to talk to Jason Crow, who's one of the 6 Democrats who had been targeted, and here's what Crow said about Johnson. Speaker Johnson has been very clear that his longtime selling of his soul to Donald Trump is thoroughly complete at this point. That's kind of a real attack on a supposed Christian. You're not supposed to, I think, not
they're wasting time on
worshiping
purpose,
false
right?
idols is one of the key tenets. So anyway, Crow goes on.
No, Tim, they're his name's Tim Dillon, right? I think. No, it's not Tim Dillon. God damn it. What's this guy's name?
Going to hold my breath for congressional Republicans to do the right thing.
Can't
but I've
remember this
also
guy's
been
name
very
right
clear
now.
that it's never too late to do the right thing. So none of us are holding our breath, but it is. We'll monitor how long this embarrassment
Tim Miller.
goes on. but it is pretty
Tim Miller.
striking
Sorry, not Dylan.
that these
Tim Miller.
guys
I
are
have his name right.
simultaneously soulless
It's Tim.
and incompetent, when it comes to their
Tim
lawfare
Dillon is
efforts.
a comedian.
I wanted to talk about something else that has nothing to do with the topic at hand.
Yeah, chat. I
But
know.
I'm sitting here and we're friends, and sometimes in the
Yeah.
content business, I like to think about this, which is like, 3 for you and 1 for
Three
me.
for you, one
You know,
for me.
Every once in a while, I get
they
to do
say.
1 for me. I get to do a video about something I really like. That might not be the highest or most important thing, but I do it either because it's stimulating intellectually. Those are the good versions of the ones for me.
That's cool.
Or I do them because I'm a petty bitch who
petty
wants to
bitch.
rip on somebody that I really dislike personally.
I'm a petty bitch.
And lucky for you guys, this is one such
What?
case. There's a guy named
He said he's a petty bitch. Chat.
Rick Grinnell. Rick Grinnell is a gay Republican. He's kind of like the gay Marco a little bit, but meaner and like less dynamic and appealing, if that's possible. But on his ideological journey, he was like a neocon basically. I worked for John Bolton, and then he totally redesigned himself or refashioned himself as a MAGA, whatever that is, isolationist, nationalist.
Exactly.
It's kind of fake. Their foreign policy worldview. Their foreign policy worldview is
Stay
whatever
off
Trump's
my
doing.
lawn.
So he tried to
Maroon.
follow, where the winds were blowing on Donald Trump's whims. And so Grinnell sucks up to Trump, ends up getting a job at the end of the first Trump term as in the Tulsi role that she has now. And coming into this cycle, he was one of the ones who was sucking up to Trump when he was in the wilderness, didn't go for DeSanctimonious. So going into this cycle, he thought he was well positioned. The rumors going around.
God, this
were
guy
that he
is
wanted to be
not easy
Secretary
to
of
watch.
State.
I can't.
But according to this latest story from the Daily Mail, he had even
I
higher
just
ambitions
can't.
than
I
that.
thought-
And so I want to talk a little bit about this brutal Daily Mail story about Rick Grinnell.
You know what?
And
I
just
know what.
relish
I
in it
got
a
an
little
idea.
bit.
I got an idea.
It is kind of like the National Review. I'm kind of doing this thing for you where I'm
He smoked
going
a
behind the
joint
paywall
before
of
he
right-wing
did
rags
this,
and telling you what's there, so you don't have to pay them.
There we
the
go.
stories by a U.S. political reporter there, Phil Nito. Good job on this, Phil. The headline is Downfall of Trump. VP hopeful exiled to construction job. Filthy message, Oval Office humiliations, and tearful feud with Ice Maiden who fucking hates his guts. Caught my attention. But I looked at it, I was like, VP hopeful. I was like, what are they talking about? And they started talking about Rick Grinnell, and I was like, are they talking about Rick Grinnell? Turns out Grinnell was floating himself at Mar-a-Lago as a potential vice presidential nominee with other campaign aides, which is hilarious. Like, I've known Rick going back to 2012 and the Romney campaign. Let me just tell you guys this fun backstory. You know, just
Holy shit,
a fun
dude.
backstory. 2012
Almost
campaign.
died. I think my
Grinnell
brain
gets
came
hired.
out.
At this point, like, having out gay Republicans, there weren't really any. I was at the RNC as a spokesperson. And I was really like the most prominent gay Republican that was like actively working for Republicans. There were some who like retired and then came out of the closet, but who were still working. And I was out. Nobody wasn't a big deal. Nobody made a big deal about it. I didn't care. Reince Priebus was my boss. I didn't care.
Sure.
And Rick gets this job, and he immediately becomes a huge fucking pain in the ass for Romney because he's a dick, and he's been posting.
Dude, they cared. They didn't say anything.
Popping off and just like being erratic, being an asshole. You know, he's unappealing to work with. Reporters hated him. He brought nothing to the table.
Meanwhile, online, they're talking shit about you.
The Romney campaign started to think about what to do, and so they sort of were pushing him to the side a little bit. They didn't
Tim-
want to push him out because
Tim's
they
a
didn't want
rhino.
perception
That's
that
right.
They were firing a gay person. Like, they didn't
When
want to
we
see
see him,
by
we
the time of
we
2012,
know
he
he's
was a giant for
gay.
gays, and they didn't want to like be seen as a campaign that was anti-gay, and so they're just trying to give him more of a behind-the-scenes role.
We just
He
don't
goes to
tell him.
Trump
Yeah,
and
right.
hissy fit about
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Quits, claims that they were sidelining him because of his
We
sexuality.
just don't tell him.
It's just like, it was all fucking fake bullshit drama. He just, it was over there. I'm like, I'm catching strays in some of the articles about him, because there's a gay guy over here. Like, don't look at me. So
Right.
anyway, he's just a prick. Fast forward back to the Daily Mail story. I should also mention the Daily Mail, I guess, found his Instagram.
Dude, he's fine on 1.5, isn't he? He's fine on 1.5. He's a 1.5 type talker.
There are a lot of not that flattering shirtless photos of him on vacation.
By the way, oh God, I mean, I don't look that great, but he's all right. Whatever. At least he's not fat, like, big ass fat belly. That's the normal look. Definitely has white feet though. That's funny.
In the story, so we'll throw a couple of those up there if you close your eyes if you want. Among the other things that happened here, why he didn't get
Dude, he's gay. Why is he showing me a shirtless guy? Hello?
any of these jobs is that he had another one of his temper tantrums with Susie Wiles before the Republican National Convention. He didn't like his speaking time. Here we go. Let's get the quote here. He screamed at Susie and he told her, "You're the reason why we're going to lose this fucking election." He berated Susie because he didn't get a primetime speaking slot. That's why he doesn't have a big job. That's why he's never considered for Secretary of State. So Susie hasn't really stopped Trump from
He's a
infringing any of
whiner.
our rights, sending
Yeah.
people to a gulag in a foreign country. But at least she kept Rick Grinnell out of the Secretary of State's job. A funny little tidbit in the story: Grinnell said this wasn't true. Told the Daily Mail that Susie would call them and confirm that didn't happen. That call from Wiles never came, according to the reporter. And then back after Grinnell to tell him that Wiles hadn't called, and he hung up on it. So, whoopsie. Now his job is as he's running the Trump Kennedy Center.
I mean, Tim's the kind of Republican I could probably have a combo with, right? But at the end of the day, I'm sorry, you calling yourself a Republican these days, I think we got a problem. I think you're just a Democrat.
To the ground, actually. Nobody will perform
just a
there.
Democrat,
and
Tim.
Trump has to shut it down for 2 years. So now his job is,
Tim, you're just a Democrat now. Just accept it.
I don't know, bringing some swaths of marble in to Mr. Trump to ask him to pick which ones he likes better for the armrests. It's his new job. He's kind of like the fabric coordinator for the Trump Kennedy Center. So good luck with that, Rick. Tough titties, tough break. Hate to see it. Hate it when bad things happen to bad people. All right, I got a little bit more on that story.
Demo rat.
Nicole Wallace.
He's a demo rat, is what he is. Cosplaying as a never Trumper. I mean, whatever. It's just like, fucking can't stand these guys. Mainly because they're making tons of money, and I'm not. You know, that's why I can't stand. That's why I got so much hate. You're a leftist, you're right too early, and you don't make money. Unless you're Mike from PA and you got 11,000 subs. Yeah. Hey. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm Mike from PA. I love you. I watch you every fucking day. Brother, I love you. And you're never going to see this, but it doesn't matter. But like...
Good morning. Thank you all for being here again. I'm Christine Ohm.
Bro, I know you got Oilers, okay? I know you got Oilers. It's good. I'm glad you do. You deserve it. I'm all for it. Mike from PA, I love you, but you got Oilers, and I appreciate it. Appreciate how you got the Oilers. You got the right vibe with the Oilers. You know what I'm talking about. I love it. And you're not going to see this, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm going to clip it anyway, because I am looking for clout that I don't have. So if I say something about Mike from PA, maybe he'll hear me. Got to say something really nasty about him that's funny. Insider joke, so he knows I'm a streamer. I mean, I'm a watcher.
Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. And I've had the opportunity today to spend some time with some of your elected officials, some of those that are involved in election security here, and local leaders to discuss what we can do to make sure that we have integrity in our election systems going forward. I want to thank some of them that came today. Justin Heap is here. He's the recorder of Maricopa County. I want to thank him for sharing some wisdom with me on what we can do to...
She goes to Maricopa County. Fuck's sake, chat. All the places to go. She goes to Maricopa County. It's like, these people are just like, okay, this is the worst thing. Americans support photo ID to vote. Okay, you know what this means? All the bills that they're trying to pass right now, you know what you will need to vote? And we watched the video yesterday. You'll need your passport. And even if you have your passport and you're a female and your passport has your maiden name on it, the one you were born with, and you've married, guess what? Your vote don't count. So she's going to yap about this shit, but the Save America Act, or whatever this is, Americans strongly support voter ID 83-84%. No, fuck this shit. No one cares about this. There's no voter fraud. There's not enough voter fraud anywhere in the United States of America to cause enough of a problem. We watched a whole video about it yesterday. And Leisha Miller talks about it. Watch her video or watch my VOD from yesterday because it's a fucking great VOD. And it's a great talk about this. We need to resist this. This is not okay. This is not a W. It's a big L. A massive L for every single voter. Any kind of nationalized voting is also against the actual Constitution.
To partner together. Also, State Representative
saying nationalizing the voting is actually against the Constitution. The Constitution actually calls out that the voting is up to the states. Okay.
John Gillette of the 30th District is here too, and I want to thank him for all of the information that he shared with me. Jennifer Wright is the former assistant.
Miss fucking Gnome can go down to Maricopa County and talk to some really stupid ass people that run the election system down there apparently, and give you a bunch of crap that's not even true. But I want you to see it anyway because I want to yap about it.
Arizona Attorney General for the Elections Unit, and she's here as well and shared her wisdom and work over the years to make sure that when people go to vote in an election that they can trust that that vote counted and that they had the chance.
This already exists right now. Like in California, we have mail-in paper ballots, okay? Yeah. I can mail my ballot in a month before. So we already know our votes count.
To cast their support behind the.
What they don't want is they don't want us to be able to vote. They don't want minorities to vote. They don't want black people to vote. They don't want brown people to vote. They don't want anyone that has a hard time getting an ID to vote. They don't want women to vote. They only want white, male conservatives to vote. So they're going to whittle away at everything to make sure it's harder to vote.
Candidate that they wanted to. You know, at the end of the Constitutional Convention in 1787, Benjamin Franklin was asked out on the street by a woman what kind of a government that we would have. And he replied to her, "A republic, ma'am, if you can keep it." And that's what our job is. For 250 years, it's been our American duty to maintain our republic and to make sure that our elections are secure. Republics depend on the confidence of their citizens, that when they vote, that their vote matters, that it.
And that's why it's up to the states to have the votes, not the actual president and the government. Because corruption happens. Hello?
Counts in our election.
I'm going to lose my mind. A republic, she's gonna paraphrase a Reagan statement from 1987 or something like that.
Elections are essential to make sure that that confidence stays there.
I mean, Reagan used to bring this up the same way. A republic.
That they know and trust that the system is fair. Since returning to office, President Trump has made election integrity a priority. He's made it a cornerstone.
Let me translate. Since President Trump has come into office, he has made subverting the elections a high priority and has tasked me with lying to you. This is me speaking as her. Task me, Kristi Noem, to lying to you, the American public. That's correct. If we could put a truth serum on her, that's what she would say. Okay? Let's just be clear about that, folks.
Of his Make America Great Again agenda. And the truth is that our election system needs a lot of work. From state to state throughout the country, we see challenges and things that can be improved on. And although the Constitution gives states the primary responsibility for running their elections, Congress also gives authorities and duties to the federal government. Now, as the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, those authorities lie within my department, and the responsibility lies with me. I have the responsibility of not just pointing out different vulnerabilities that we may see in our election systems, but also with making sure that we're putting forward mitigation measures that can be enacted at the state and local level to make sure that our elections are run correctly, that the votes are counted and tabulated, and that the people that were elected are put into those positions. As President Trump said, we will either fix our nation's election issues or we will no longer have a nation to save. Right now, America has a golden...
What? The fuck is he saying? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God.
An opportunity, a wonderful opportunity to show that we are serious about securing our elections and that we care about making sure that we preserve our sacred republic. Earlier this week, the House of Representatives passed the SAVE Act. This is federal legislation that does some common sense, straightforward things. First of all, it requires a photo ID in order to vote in federal elections. It also requires proof of citizenship in order to register to vote. And it requires states to remove non-citizens from their voter rolls. These measures are extremely popular with American citizens. American people have common sense, and they want to see reforms like this put into their elections. In fact, a Gallup poll was recently released that shows 84% of Americans support a photo ID when they go to vote. that 83% support proving your citizenship when you go to register to vote. A Pew Research poll showed that 95% of Republicans and 71% of Democrats agree with voter ID. There's a reason why more than 80% of Americans support these measures, and that's because they work and they're common sense and they build trust into the system. It's common sense that our elections should belong to the American people, that they should be the ones who get to vote, whose votes are counted, that they get one vote, not more, not less. It's common sense to make sure that foreign nationals don't vote in our elections.
It's not happening. No, it never happens. Not happening, folks.
Don't elect our leaders and have a say in how our country runs. They don't and should not be allowed to be trampling on the voice of the American people, and will no longer allow American citizens to be disenfranchised, to have their voices suppressed by criminals, by hostile foreign actors, and by illegal aliens that shouldn't be here in this country. It's a fact that non-citizens have been voting in our elections. They've been registered and they have voted from state to state. For example, one of the most recent individuals that we've talked about is Ian Andre Roberts. He was an illegal alien from Guyana that was arrested by ICE while serving in Des Moines, Iowa as the school district superintendent. Perhaps
again, a singular issue of voting fraud or any kind of voting fraud will not sway the vote.
you remember hearing about that arrest. Despite him being here illegally in this country, he was registered to vote in Maryland. He had a long rap sheet also of criminal charges, including narcotics possession, second and third degree possession of a weapon, and criminal possession of a forgery instrument. In Coldwater, Kansas, we had an illegal alien that was able to vote and was even elected as a mayor. He was charged by the Kansas Attorney General last fall for voting without being qualified and to election perjury charges thanks to assistance from the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services Agency. As it stands, current guidelines for the National Voter Registration Act effectively stop states from going forward and checking citizenship during registration. The Save America Act would fix this. It would make sure that we close those loopholes and that we ensure in American elections only Americans vote. Critics
not happening, guys. Again, keep reading your stupid script bit.
Assert that the Save America Act will somehow hurt American voters. That's just absurd and absolutely not true.
Okay.
One of the claims that they have made in criticizing this bill is that they say that newly married women would be disenfranchised because they've had a name change. Well, there's many women out there, including myself, who've been married and changed our names when we re-registered to vote. And likewise, the idea that this bill would make it impossible for U.S. service members to vote if they're deployed overseas, well, that's completely false as well. For all of those procedures that are in place today continue to stay that way after this act is passed and signed into law. They also say that this act requires voters to have a U.S. passport to register. That's not true. There's multiple options that are given to provide proof of citizenship, including military ID, government ID, photo ID with a proof of birth and location. In fact, if an individual has no documentation, they have the option of appearing at an election office and providing an affidavit stating that they are a citizen of this country. Now, another ridiculous conspiracy theory that we've heard is that the federal government will remove people from state voter rolls. Well, that's just simply not true. It's state and local election officials do the registration, and they maintain these lists going forward. We just help them do their job and make sure that they're doing it correctly. Each of the arguments that have been laid out to criticize this bill are baseless speculation from the radical left because they want illegal aliens to vote in our elections.
No, we don't.
They want to disenfranchise American citizens by telling them that their votes don't matter.
No, we don't.
There's only one reason that anyone would oppose this bill, and that's because they would want to cheat. They want illegal people and aliens in this country to be able to vote for them and to rob the United States citizens of their vote. And that's why they resist us at every single level when we're trying to deport people back to their home countries or stop them from committing crimes against the American people. That's why they do not support voter ID, proof of U.S. citizenship, or clean voter rolls. That's why the Save America Act is absolutely critical to our country's future. Because without secure elections, we lose what makes our country so great. And then when we lose that, we lose our country altogether. Almost 200 years ago in 1833, a Supreme Court Justice Joseph Story warned us with this.
Who
And
cares?
he warned us this about illegal entry into our country. If aliens might be admitted indiscriminately to enjoy all of the rights of citizens at the will of a single state, the Union itself might be endangered by an influx of foreigners, hostile to its institutions, ignorant of its powers, and incapable.
Let's
of
quote
a
someone
due
from
estimate of its
1800
privileges.
when no
There
one
is
had
no room in our
any
election
fucking
system for people that
privilege.
aren't Americans.
Sounds good.
There is no room in our election system for
No room in our
fraudsters
election system
and
for
foreign
you,
influence.
woman.
The
Get the fuck off
Declaration
the
of
podium.
Independence said this simple, self-evident truth, that governments
Got no respect for this
derive their
person
just
whatsoever.
powers from the consent of the governed.
The things I want to say
Fair
are
and
going
secure
to get me
elections
banned
are
from
how we measure
like,
the consent of the governed.
a lot of
and they
places.
ensure that our American citizens' voices are heard. Our
Yeah.
founders at the time of the creation
My voice
of
is
this
gonna be
country
heard. Don't worry.
pledged
You
their
can't stop
lives,
it.
their fortunes, and their sacred honor to defend our
Sure, dude.
freedoms. In fact, the Continental Army went for years without being paid, and they braved through the brutal winter at Valley Forge as well. They did all of this because they wanted to ensure that their people, their families,
you
and that their
yapping about?
descendants could continue to live freely and could govern freely. If we don't uphold this bedrock principle of representative government, then our nation's choices will be decided by illegal aliens, by criminals, by foreign actors, and people that don't support America being the greatest country in the world. Our nation's choices, instead, if it were allowed to degrade our election system, would allow illegal aliens, criminals, and others to undermine our country. This kind of election security is something that the government owes to the American people, and it's something that we, the American
already
people,
have this.
owe to ourselves.
We already
need
have
to pass
this.
the Save America Act. We need to pass it today.
In fact, the fact that we have like as many different counties and as many different states inside the United States that are all administering the elections in slightly different ways, right? That are also, overseen and have been forever by both parties, and to be good, right? But they're different ways. So like, there's no one way, there's no one trick to fucking up the election system, i.e. the way it is right now is actually stronger than what she's talking about, because what she's talking about is a nationalized election system where the state of the United States, not the states, just one entity, the state, which is the president, oversees the elections. Okay, sounds like Russia. Does Putin oversee the elections in Russia? I wonder.
And sign it into law to ensure that the integrity of our election system stays in place for years to come. May God continue to bless this great state, the great people who are working to make sure that everybody's vote matters and that it counts. May God continue to bless the great United States of America. Thank you. With that, I will
I hope she eats a glizzy later.
open it up to any questions that you may have.
That
Yes.
is all.
Arizona already requires proof for citizenship, and there have been repeated audits that have found that there is no widespread fraud happening in Arizona.
Okay, so Russia has something called the Central Election Committee. Commission. And Putin's influence is exerted in the elections through institutional control, administrative oversight, and candidate vetting in the CEC. Recent cycles have seen restricted access for international observers and the end of live stream vote counts. Yeah. Meantime, but it is overseen by the Central Election Commission, Russia. Yeah, it's fucked up.
Do you worry that emphasizing election security threats without evidence could undermine public confidence? And how do you ensure that messaging doesn't further any misinformation?
We have a SAVE program that is available to the state of Arizona that the state of Arizona could ensure through their Secretary of State that every county has access to and allow them to go back in and verify those individuals that are on the voter rolls today to make sure they should be voting in the elections.
Dude, they're fine.
That come forward. That's what I would encourage the Secretary of State to do, and I'll be sending out mitigation measures that can help build promise back into that system to maintain the critical infrastructure that is our elections.
What the fuck is she yapping about? I hate this so much.
I'm still in charge of the Department of Homeland Security. That includes all 23 different agencies under our umbrella, including ICE and CBP, but also FEMA, TSA, Secret Service, the Coast Guard, many, many more. Yes, over here.
Yeah, can you believe that?
I think that would be a wonderful opportunity for him to be transparent and to ensure and promise the people of Arizona that they can trust their elections and that when they show up on election day, they'll get to vote without problems or hassles, that they'll be prepared to make sure that vote counts and that the correct results are announced. It's right here. I'll come to you next.
Oh, I figured it out. Oh my God.
Oh, I'm sure there's many of them, but we want to make sure that we talked about several of them this morning at our roundtable that we had. We talked about individuals that may be registered to vote in this state but truly live in another state. I understand that you have mobile homes and boats on lakes that individuals may have as their voter registration address, but not necessarily that is where they live. They live in another state, such as California or on the East Coast.
Fuck her and her fucking mic, okay? Fuck both of them. Because, yeah, I'm done. Tejo, Fuentes, and Asmongold give up on politics.
So one of the points that I've made a number of times on this show is that
Another
Nick Fuentes...
We got another W. Nicky Fuentes. Now we really know he's just a fucking grifter, bro.
Reminds me of Jimmy Dore circa like 2018. Because Jimmy Dore... was basically doing the whole routine of like, I'm the purest leftist.
Yep.
I'm the leftiest of the leftists.
I'm the best
and I will
left.
spend all of my time bashing the Democrats and bashing even the people in theory who are closest to me on the spectrum,
Yeah.
like AOC, like
Correct.
Bernie Sanders, and basically give
Correct.
the Republicans just a complete and utter pass, right? Functionally, I think Jimmy
Right.
acted
That's
as
a
an
red
op
flag.
for the right. In reality, he's more of a
Right,
useful idiot. But
Yeah, because like if you're saying you're on the left and then you're always just bashing Democrats, and even if your points are right about the Democrats, right, then you're not really on the left. That's a Jimmy Dore. That's why everyone's always, well, I thought he was on the left, but then it's like, no. And in essence, you need to be complaining about the Democrats and the Republicans both at the same time, and or more the Republicans, because they're doing more damage to the leftist agenda than the Democrats are. I agree with that. I mean, like Jennifer said, and you know, it's like, I'll take the Democrats over a fucking Republican any day, but still I consider the Democrats Republicans. You know what I mean?
But he
They're just
acted like he was an
another
op, like a
side
little
of 'em.
infiltrator from the right to undermine left-wing movements and the Democrats more broadly, right? And Nick Fuentes does the exact same thing. He mirrors that on the other side. He mirrors that on the right. So he comes in and he says, I'm the most right-wing of the right-wingers. I'm the most pure of the right-wingers. I'm the most far-right of the right-wingers. And I declare that the Republicans are the biggest enemy and that Donald Trump is not right-wing enough. And so I'm going to beat up on Trump. I'm going to beat up on Vance. I'm going to beat up on the Republicans 24/7 and make you feel disaffected and disenfranchised and try to get you to not support Republicans and barely, if ever, hardly lay a glove on Democrats in the same way that Jimmy Dore hardly ever laid a glove on Republicans in like 2018. Now, you know, the jig is up with Jimmy. He's out of the closet. You know, the shine has worn off now and people know he just leans right. He's like a right-leaning conspiracy guy now, right? But there was a time where people would argue, like, no, he actually is the most left-wing. And so Nick Fuentes is doing the mirror image of that. He's the purest of the right-wingers, and he's here to say the other right-wingers are not right-wing enough, and therefore abandon politics. Or waste your vote on this dumbass right-wing party that's going to get 7 votes in total and, siphon your votes away from the actual right-wing party that has
Guess I could just get in-ear monitors.
That's what he's doing here, right? So here's Asmongold,
Wired.
who's also another giant content creator on the right, and they're going to go full nihilism mode here. They're going to go full, fuck politics, fuck voting, fuck Trump. Like, it's all a waste of time. And I love this because of the implications of it.
Meantime,
let's take a look. And
both of them got made by
Go
Trump.
fuck yourself. You told us when we wanted the Epstein files, we don't need your votes anymore.
Yep.
Hey, wish granted.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yep.
Sure.
Remember in July of 2025 when Trump said, if you want the Epstein files, you're not a
Based.
real supporter. I don't want your vote.
Based.
Hey, wish granted, pal. Wish granted. You wanted it, you got it. Fuck you. You want to get it back on track? Good luck. Call Netanyahu.
Uh-oh.
That's the part that I
TikTok
love.
algorithm.
They sell us out. H-1B visas galore.
See?
Student visas galore. No mass deportations.
See, the thing Nick is advocating for that I agree with is that you should not accept to be slowly boiled. You should say that if you're going to boil me, let's just get it over with. Let's get it over with. And if you're willing to do that, then maybe
You're boiling in your room,
and so
Asmongold.
No, and here's the thing: is that he just like JD Vance. He's not right. Well, I'm saying that this is really the issue, right? There's such an L take. I don't think so. And let me explain. This is really the reason why setting people on fire, accelerationism, exactly. And so, really, if you let the people that
his own chat is saying this is an L take.
Let me finish the clip and I'll talk about it.
Hey guys, we need your help. President Trump needs more seats to keep the agenda going.
Yeah.
You know what I have to say about that? You're worried about your majority in 2026. You're worried about losing the House. Why don't you ask Bill Clinton for his vote then? Ask Bill Clinton. Ask those 600,000 Chinese students. Ask the H-1B workers. Ask the Israelis. Ask Netanyahu for a vote. You gave Netanyahu $20 billion. Ask him to vote for you. You gave Wall Street the corporate tax cut extension. Why don't you ask them for the vote? Ask them. Go and bother them with your campaign ads. Don't bother us. Because we still have illegal immigrants in our cities. We still have rampant crime in our cities. The job market still sucks. We're not richer. Our purchasing power has not increased. Go ask somebody else because we are not interested. We do want to burn it all down. Correct.
What's with the music?
So you see what he's doing? What he's doing is divide and conquer on the right.
Right.
What he's doing is, well, what's even the point of voting for Trump? We didn't get everything we want, so even if you're a hardcore right-winger like I am, don't waste your time with him. Now, by the way, I love this because the impact is take all the groypers, take all the far right-wingers, take all the white nationalist types and tell them, hey, politics is stupid, don't even bother, don't vote for Republicans at all. And sometimes he even flirts with, if anything, voting for a Democrat is better. And sometimes he even flirts with that position, right? But I love this because he's telling this massive audience of right-wingers who are very politically...
The comments under this, they just need to pick a basement, hook up, and leave the rest of us alone. Literally fucking true. Jesus Christ.
Engaged and involved. Definitely don't support
I can
Republicans.
smell Asmongold through the video.
Again, to me, is hilarious because the argument is, hey, they're not right-wing enough. They're not fascist enough. They're not...
If you ever think you're stupid, just remember Asmongold has an audience. No. Yeah, he has an audience. But they're not American, number one, and are also bots, folks. Fascists becoming apolitical, LOL. Yeah.
Not anti-immigration enough. And I mean this sincerely.
This is good,
What the
dude.
fuck else would ICE have to do?
This is good.
How can they get further right?
Right?
On immigration.
Yeah.
Mass murdering literally everybody they arrest?
Yeah.
Because right now they're doing mass kidnapping.
They're over. It's over.
They're doing trafficking.
Oh my
There's
God.
no due process. They got rid of
I know,
that
right?
shit right away. There's over 4,000 people literally missing because of ICE. Many of them missing from Alligator Alcatraz. Remember that? There's about 40 people who've died in ICE custody, including a guy who may have been lynched. There was evidence he was lynched. At these ICE facilities, there's accusations they do slavery. Literal criminals are joining ICE. They're assaulting 84-year-old liberals.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
shooting a priest in the face with pepper balls. They're tear gassing babies, running over people with cars, tear gassing journalists and cops. They're zip tying naked kids. They're deporting 4-year-old American citizens because they're fucking brown, okay? They're raiding 7-Elevens and meatpacking facilities.
No, not cool. You're right.
What else would they have to do for you
Exactly.
to go, you know what, that's
yeah.
right enough?
Yeah.
I genuinely mean it. They just have to mass assassinate?
No, they literally want all of them gone, including Nick Fuentes because he's half Hispanic.
Everybody? Mass execute everybody? like fire up the gas chambers immediately in order for him to?
No,
say?
they want what they want is Asmongold to be sawed in half because he's half half white, half Mexican, right? That's what they want. That's right. Send the other half down and the rest of the other ones. That's what they want. Literally, they want every single one of them. I swear to God, they want 20 million people out of here.
Okay, I
whatever
think that's
it
right-wing
is.
enough. I don't know the answer. It's so crazy to me
It's
that
insane.
this can resonate with anybody that like, oh, Trump is not fascist enough. Like, this is the most fascist shit we've ever seen in our lifetimes. And it's like, nope, not enough. Okay. But again, I love the impact of this because what it does is it makes these people disengage. It makes them not vote. It makes them not actually get involved in politics. And that's good. Every right-winger, every fascist, yes, go take up a different hobby.
Yeah, go hide in the
Go
basement.
get interested in Pogs or yo-yos or Pokemon or anime.
Let us
or
get
comic
the
books
left up
or
excited.
whatever the fuck you want.
Let
Just
us
not this.
let us get the other people that actually have a heart excited about some kind of possibility of us winning, taking a W instead of fucking even you dumbass motherfucking, both these dumbasses can see that what Trump's doing is fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? Like,
not this.
That's what we should
thank
be
you,
talking
Nick.
about.
Thank you, Asmongold. We appreciate this shit.
You don't want our vote? Wish granted. You're not getting it this time.
I think that there's a lot of young men and young people in America that are sick of a managed decline. That is what Nick is talking about.
By the way,
Managed decline.
how would if Trump was more right-wing and was more fascist, which is what both of these
how
guys
would that-
want, how would that fix the managed decline? It would only speed up the decline. And by the way, Asmongold goes on in this clip at the end to say,
No,
he
because-
didn't even fucking do regime change in Iran. Which, by the way, Fuentes has the opposite position on that. He doesn't want
They
the
have
regime
no
change in Iran, but obviously,
idea how hard that would
Asmongold
be.
does. But the point is, hey, right-wingers, you're getting your way right now.
The
But if
bullets-
you got your way anymore.
they
would
turned the
just
bullets off.
Further be plunged into irrelevance in the destruction of the U.S.
Just a couple of guys got shot in the legs in the helicopter. That was it. Otherwise, the bullets didn't work. They couldn't shoot. They were Russian.
U.S. empire and the next
like,
Great
what?
Depression. Like, how do you not see that?
They had
The
Russian
way
guns.
to actually fix this country is to arrest the Epstein class, the corrupt fucking billionaires, lock them all up, tax billionaires out of fucking existence, take that money and redistribute it and make it so everybody has health care, everybody has education, raise the minimum wage, let everybody join a fucking union, right? This is how you fix this country. Medicare for all, free college, living wage, ending the wars, Green New Deal, right? End the corruption completely. Arrest the Epstein class. This is what you do. Give people freedom. Actually give people freedom. Like, stop fucking with gay people. Stop fucking with trans people.
Yeah.
Be pro-immigrant because it's actually good for the country.
He's got a
We
lot
are
of
literally
Leonardo.
a nation of immigrants, and this country is way better off
He's got a
with
Leonardo
immigrants.
shirt on.
So that's how
cool.
you would actually fix the country and stop the
Hey,
managed decline. But what they're
Rainier,
saying is,
you're
no, we
leveling
need a
up.
faster decline. I know Trump already bombed like 7 countries. He should bomb 14. This is what he's saying.
Yeah, right?
This is what
Exactly.
he's saying. I know he's already, rounding up a bunch of people and sending them to concentration camps. He needs to send more of them and fire up the gas chambers. This is the argument.
Fire
right?
it up, boys.
These people, man, they are fucking gonzo. They are gonzo. At least when Jimmy Dore did his, like, I'm holier than thou shtick, I'm purer than all the other lefties, at least he was actually saying, like, hey, you guys don't fight hard enough for Medicare for all, right? This is like, no, I need gas chambers now. Where are the
Yeah, at
fucking
least
gas
he had
chambers?
some
And
kind of
I
a
think that
point.
he's completely right about this. They are sick and tired of being told that they need to accept and they need to tolerate a managed decline whenever,
What?
a bunch of Chinese students are coming into America and going to universities.
Oh, the
Oh,
Chinese
God,
students
yeah.
are the decline
Oh,
of
yeah.
Are you kidding me? What he's about to fucking find out is we're having brain drain like we've never had it before
Yeah.
because of Trump's fucking cracking down on
People are
immigration.
going to China.
Because of the saying, fuck you, the best and the brightest. What's going to happen now is you're going to get your way, bitch. There's
Yeah.
going to be not many people from overseas coming into this country, and medical research in this country is going to take a massive hit. Scientific research is going to take a massive hit. We're not going to get the inevitable patents on the new drugs that cure diseases, all because your dipshit ass is fucking
because none of the
xenophobic
fucking
and bigoted. So congratulations, you're
whiteys
going to get
can
your way.
fucking-
The result is
none
going
of
to be
the
we're all
whiteys
going to be
can
worse
fucking
off for it, you
program.
dumb bitch.
Meanwhile, American students are being sent to trade schools and McDonald's. This seems a little bit unfair. And
First of all, trade
That's
school
a-
and McDonald's,
yeah.
there's big differences there, right?
Yeah,
McDonald's like a
hello?
minimum wage job, which, by the way, no disrespect to those people. They should get paid more.
Yeah.
But trade school that's legitimate.
Yeah, what
Studying
the
to
fuck?
become an electrician,
Make
studying
a
to
lot
become
of money.
plumber. This is part of the problem, is this is a snotty, elitist attitude.
One of the most
looking
important
down on
things
somebody
right
who
now
goes
is
to
being an
trade school. That's
electrician,
one of the
actually.
few
It's what I
remaining
am.
ways to earn an honest fucking living in this
I would
country.
know.
And you're gonna fucking
I don't make
sneer at
enough,
them and be
but I make
disrespectful
good.
to them.
Better
so
than most.
Really, oh wow, we're doing mass deportations. Not enough. Not enough. Why did you let these animals in Minnesota run wild for over a month?
The animals are the fucking ICE Gestapo, you unshowered fuck.
Yeah.
They're the motherfucking degenerates
Yeah.
who are going around busting people
You
up, shooting them in the
unshowered
face,
fuck.
fucking ripping families apart, not even destroying the Constitution and not abiding
Yep.
by the Constitution because they're not, they don't have the warrants they need to go into
Yeah, I
these
thought
houses
you
that
guys
they're
liked the
illegally
fucking
going into.
Constitution.
I can't believe he has the nerve to say this. The animals in Minnesota are not the Minnesotans. The animals in Minnesota are not the immigrants. They're the good guys. The bad guys are the ones covering their fucking faces like little bitches as they do a terror spree and they illegally occupy the entire city. Fuck this guy, man. Fuck this guy.
Damage the public goodwill, get 2 Americans killed just because you were afraid of enacting the actual law. People voted on you to apply the law. Did you apply the law?
They're breaking the law on a daily basis. We've never seen a crime spree like the ICE Gestapo thugs have done. But he defines whatever they do as the law and whatever the immigrants do as evil and bad and wrong because he's a fucking idiot. He's a dipshit. He's an authoritarian. He's a bootlicker. He loves the jackbooted thugs because they're not at his motherfucking door. But be careful what you wish for, son, because you open the door to authoritarianism, there's going to come a time when your people are not in charge. Maybe they'll be knocking on your door. Now, won't they? And it's going to be at that time that you'll realize, oh, civil liberties, that's actually important. It's actually good to have constitutional rights. Rights. Jesus Christ. We don't need to watch the rest of it, but you get the gist of it. I shouldn't even be yelling at them right now, because at the end of the day, they're helping us. They're helping us. They're telling all the right-wingers, all the young right-wingers, hey, stay home.
Yeah.
Hey, don't vote.
Yep.
Hey, don't even be involved politically. I agree. Every right-winger in this country, motherfucking stay home, don't do shit, sit on the couch, eat some potato chips, watch TV, pop on Netflix, whatever you got to do, bro. Whatever you got to do. Go get a job doing something somewhere. Like, I hope you have an all right life. I hope you get your bills paid for and all that stuff. I hope, everything's fruitful from now until forever for you. But, yes, bitch, stay home. We don't need you to vote. We don't need your thoughts on anything. You can disenfranchise yourself, okay? Because, yes, you're the fucking problem. You are the fucking problem. If you can look at this landscape in this country right now, and your conclusion is, Trump's not far right enough. There's this thing called Thorazine. You should look into it.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, welcome back to
Let's go.
IHIP News special episode with Congressman Ro Khanna, our fearless warrior,
Yes.
who is advocating for the Epstein survivors, advocating for democracy, but also advocating for a more progressive, more worker-friendly, reach more of the people Democratic Party, ditching corporate donors and having an actual political party that really is of the people, by the people, for the people, not for the corporations.
We need a new moral vision in this country and for our party, and we need an FDR-like moment for the Democratic Party. And we need to speak simply, plainly, and in truths. We need to say what happened in Gaza was a genocide. We need to say there are no more military sales to Israel. We need to say we need to tear down ICE, not just no masks and body cameras. We got to tear down the agency that is terrorizing Americans,
He is correct. Thank you,
terrorizing
Ro Khanna.
immigrants, and have a new agency like we had, by the way, since 1940 to 2003 that actually respects human rights. We
And
need
stays
to
at the border.
be clearly for taxing billionaires more. We need to be for Medicare for all. We need to be for $10 a day childcare. We need to be for free public college and 1,000 trade schools. We need to be for a Marshall Plan for America. And we need to say things simply which are concrete.
$10 a day, in other words, costs you $10 a day.
I'm for the American dream. I'm for renewing the American dream. I'm for standing for human rights. I'm for the American family. I'm for every kid having a shot. I'm for a high floor, low ceiling. I don't even know what does it mean? Where do you stand? And that is the problem with the Democratic Party. Republicans come up to me and they say, look, well, I don't agree with half the things you just said, but at least you say what you believe. And you know, one of the only lessons we should learn from Donald Trump is like he's not afraid to say what he thinks. Like Donald Trump is out there saying crazy things like let's conquer Greenland. And then we're like poll testing whether we could be for Medicare for all.
That's what drives me crazy about the Democrats. The crowdsourcing what their opinion is. So here's where I am and where a lot of my listeners are, is we feel like the Democratic leadership is twofold right now. We need Democratic leadership and we need ironclad resistance to the fascism. And it feels like the leadership is really corporate vested. And then there are progressive members of that, like yourself and others. And then you're seeing the base, like myself. I was a pretty, MSNBC liberal, voted blue no matter who, harm reduction. And I've really moved further to the left. And that's not happening in a vacuum. The polling is starting to bear that out.
I thought you moved the whole base. That was my theory.
But I think the real frustration is that, and we have to just name names a little bit, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer just do not seem equal to this task. We have a crazy psychopath, a dipshit of epic proportions who is crazier than a shithouse rat running the country, surrounded by people who will sit and pile effusive praise on him ad nauseum, bring him trophies. And it seems like it would be the easiest thing on the planet to say no. And what got my attention is like, why do they keep playing patty cake with this guy? Why are we even talking about funding ICE?
I agree with Schumer. I've called for him to step down as minority leader.
Let's go.
And I don't understand why we're even talking about no new funding, right? Like they were saying, oh, Ro, you may have to come to vote tomorrow back. I'm rushing back to D.C. And I'm like, why are we even talking about no new funding for ICE? They have $75 billion that was passed in the big ugly bill.
We need to repeal that.
We should not fund an additional dime in 2 weeks, in 2 months, in 2 years, not in Donald Trump's presidency, until they tear down this agency and they start anew. And they start with actually recognizing human rights. And they start with recognizing the human rights of actually Americans and immigrants. Now, I would say with Hakeem, I think there is a progressive energy and majority in the House that allows him to be bolder. I don't think he's going to say an additional dime on funding for ICE. He stood his ground on the healthcare fight when Schumer caved. He was very helpful in the Epstein fight in getting a coalition. But the difference is that there's a lot of progressive energy in the House. You've got Greg Kazar, you've got Pramila Jayapal, you've got Jamie Rask. I mean, I don't want to leave people out, but there are at least 20 people, Delia Ramirez, who are really the heart and soul of the fight. And I love serving in the House because, you go over to the Senate, it's like no one, it's a pin drop. Like you can't hear anyone, you can't talk. It's,
it's a nursing home.
And then it's like being in detention on the House. Everyone's screaming, but it's much more the American people. And the House has the fight. The House gets the moment. The House gets that this is not a time for just go it along. And people are tired of speeches. Everyone is looking for sort of the charisma and showmanship. I said courage is the new charisma. What people really want is action.
Totally.
They want principled action. They want actually to get things done, to stand up. And what we showed with Epstein is if you're creative and bold, you can do things even if you're in the minority. Like we were in the minority.
Exactly.
Right? And we got Donald Trump to sign the law. We've done, Massey and I or others, we've tried a lot of things that don't work. We tried war powers resolutions that don't work, but you've got to take shots on goal. You've got to be out there.
Lots of them.
You've got to be out there on the streets. You've got, I went to Minneapolis after Alex Preddy was shot, and I stood there with third and fourth generation Minnesotans. It's not enough. A lot of these folks, they're well-meaning. They think, okay, you go to Congress, you vote, you're in a committee. I often joke, they've got all these comms people in committees. I was like, no one pays attention to what you're doing. Like no one in the country is like watching these committee hearings. Get out there, be with the people, be bold, take steps to understand the moment we're in.
I feel like if we had a different speaker, and I've had Minority Leader Jeffries on.
Oh, you have?
Yes, he's been on the podcast before, and I understand. I think he's good-natured and wants goodness. I feel like there is what the people want right now, and what would just be an electric lightning bolt that would make the turnout for the midterms too big to rig, would be just some badass going, no, we're not giving you shit. You're killing Americans.
Yes.
You're buying warehouses to house people, AKA concentration camps. That's what this budget, this ICE budget, is going to do. They want to put human beings in warehouses and grade people on legal, illegal, brown-skinned. And then, of course, I read this article the other day. There's a guy from Ireland that has been in he called it a concentration camp, his words, who had like a visa issue for 4 months. And so when I think about the MAGA movement, you know, we can say, oh, it's about white supremacy and it's only for rich white men. They wanted to kill Mike Pence. He was a Bible thumper, right-wing Republican, a good soldier. He just wouldn't break the law at the tail end. And they wanted to kill him for it. I just feel like this moment, I 100% agree with you that Chuckles needs to go. He's not the man of the moment. He's completely compromised by Israel, in my opinion, and that is his first and foremost action as a senator.
No, he's begged about
it.
Getting them support when you've got a genocide going on. And it's not me saying it's a genocide. That's what the UN finding is. That's
genocide scholars.
Yeah, that's what the scholars say. And you're then bragging about getting them more funding. But I think we can get the House to a point of no new funding in the stand. I mean, for me, it's personal. I'm, the son of immigrants. My grandfather was in jail for 4 years as part of Gandhi's independence movement in the 1940s, 1930s, 1940s. I'm of Hindu faith. I was born in Philadelphia, Bucks County. To this day, when I go on overseas trips, even though if I'm going in the Air Force planes, my mom says, don't lose your passport. I was like, Mom, the Air Force has the passport. It'll be fine. And so to see a country, and I grew up in a time in Bucks County where teachers believed in me, Little League coaches believed in me. I was never told you can't do what you want just because you're a son of immigrants or have a different faith or look different. And now I go places and people are in lines and they're brown and they say, here's my passport. I'm carrying it in the United States of America. I went to the California City Detention Center and I met with these immigrants who were detained. By the way, they put me in a room with 47 people and the prison warden left. So they're obviously not a security risk. They wouldn't do that if they were murderers or rapists. And one person talked about, showed me his broken nose, no medical care. Someone talked about having blood in his urine. Can you get me a doctor's appointment? They can't get a doctor's appointment. People wanted to be voluntarily deported. They were that sort of mistreated. And they couldn't get voluntarily deported because there's no judge. It's all backlogged because Stephen Miller has a quota of 2,000 to 3,000. Let's just fill these places in their private detention centers so they don't want to spend the money on the food or the medical care or getting the legal processing. This is happening in the United States of America. And what the American people want to say, not just kids of immigrants, what third, fourth, fifth generation Americans want to see is a Democratic Party that says that's not America. We are going to stand up against that because it's a violation of our faith. It's a violation of human dignity. It's a violation of the Constitution. And people want strength. And our party mistakes strength. Oh, let's just get the guy with the military uniform or law enforcement. No, strength comes from conviction. That's how Gandhi led. That's how Mandela led. That's why Bernie leads. Strength comes from moral conviction and standing on a moral ground. That's why Mamdani was so powerful in what he did in New York. People knew he believed what he was saying. And I just think if we had that kind of leadership, we would have a sweeping majority. We'd have realignment in this country.
For decades. I think for decades we would have it, like you mentioned earlier, in FDR style reign. Let's talk about the billionaire tax. I read an article on the way here that state legislatures, Democrats in states, were drafting bills to tax billionaires, and they're running into a problem: the governors, the Democratic governors. So these state legislators are now having to battle their Democratic governors. Here's what pisses me off about the billionaires. Like, the ones here in New York, you just mentioned Mamdani, they spent more money trying to run ads against him, Islamophobic ads against him to terrorize everybody, than I think they would pay in billionaire taxes. Like, these guys are so entitled that they're willing to buy JD Vance and spend all of this money, but cannot give it to the country that has a system that has made them this way. So there's two things. Number one, it's easy to villainize Jeff Bezos. It's easy to villainize oh God, it's so easy to villainize Elon Musk or Peter Thiel, but it's the system.
Right.
The system that we're seeing right now, these governors in your home state, Newsom, put up a wall and advocate for billionaires. And they keep propagandizing us that, oh, this is going to be bad for business. And I think it's such a leadership failure and not reading the room right now, this eat the rich French Revolution moment that the rest of us are kind of living in right now,
Right.
to not be able to stand up to the billionaires and say, no, we all need to chip in here. This is not sustainable. He's tearing down the DOJ. How are you going to take your contracts into court and have an economy? If he tears down the DOJ, we're going to go straight the way of Russia. And it feels like there's no moral clarity within upper echelons of the Democratic Party against billionaires and wealth tax.
Yeah, and Newsom doesn't want to offend the donor base, but here's what they're missing. The younger progressives, they say to me when I talk about a tax on billionaires and 1% a year or 2% a year, they say, Ro, I don't think they realize you're being nice. Wait till we get into power. Like the reality, let's look at some just basic economic facts in this country. I represent a district in Silicon Valley that is a third of the national wealth. A third of the stock market is my 50-mile radius. Apple, Google, NVIDIA,
Wait
Tesla,
till we get in
Broadcom,
power.
$18
It'll be
trillion
10%.
The entire
Elon
national stock
Musk,
market is
you bitch
$70
ass.
trillion. Income inequality
And there won't be
in
any
this country
fucking
is
homeless
at the
people
highest it's
in
been
Los
in
Angeles. And you'll be like,
years.
huh?
The worker share.
Yeah, we're going to tax Elon Musk 10%. Straight up. All of his money, no matter what. All of it. All of his companies, his value. Whatever, 300 billion. We get 10% of that, and it takes away the homeless. Directly.
Of income in this country
That's how you
is
do
the
it.
lowest it's been in 75 years.
That's how you do it, folks.
Young people, even with college graduates, are having a hard time getting a job because AI is...
The IRS literally sends Elon Musk a tax bill of 10% for 1 year and takes the money that they get from Elon Musk's and makes no homeless by building houses. That's it.
Eliminating some of those entry-level jobs.
That's it.
And then you've had the tariffs, and you've had a slowing economy. And
guess what happens? Elon Musk makes more money and continues to be a dumbass and go to the moon, and there's no more homeless.
all of this, you have billionaires in California having increased their wealth in the last 3 years 158%. 158%. And what we're saying is we want...
In other words, used to be worth $100 billion. Now you're worth $200 billion. Imagine that.
Some percent a year. Now, you could do the details. Okay, don't tax voting shares, etc. But the broader point is we need everyone to have a stake in America, and you can't have a society, you can't have a nation half prosperous and half in decline. 70% of Americans don't believe in the American dream. And if we're going to have a Democratic Party that just says, okay, we're going to stop Trump's craziness and we're going to get back in there and we're going to do business as usual. And yeah, we won't have the ICE raids and we won't do dumb tariffs and we're not going to insult Mark Carney, but we're just going to allow the income inequality to continue, especially with AI, then you're going to have someone like Nick Fuentes come in 2032. We need to get in there and we need to tackle the fundamental economic divide that has ripped this country apart, that has fueled such an anger at the elites, at globalization, at the demographic change. And we need to say our highest mission is going to be the economic independence and security for people who haven't had a fair shot. And that to me...
He is 100% right. This guy is sick as fuck. In fact, this is the first time I've ever seen him been interviewed like this, and I'm very impressed by him. I fully support him, and I support anyone that is speaking like this in Congress. Okay? Anyone that says the word genocide. This is all Kamala had to sound like to win. If Kamala had sounded like this guy, she would have won. And Trump would have never happened.
I call
this
it a
is
new
all they
economic
had to do.
patriotism. That to me should be our philosophy with a new moral vision. And
He's
I
right.
really believe we have a shot to if
I
we
like
just
these from
looked at
India,
the
and
energy
his dad served in
instead
prison
of
time for
dismissing
being a
them, Donnie, and
revolutionary.
others,
That's
if we looked
sick.
at the energy these young people have,
That's
we
sick,
have it
dude.
much easier than President Obama was a genius in terms of his oratory and all. He was going uphill in 2008. It was like, who is this guy? there weren't armies there. Now we've got the armies, but we've got our own party fighting the armies.
Yes.
Mobilize the armies. Lead the armies. You've got the armies there.
Let me ask you this. Do you think this corporate, democratic, centrist, govern incrementally, the way that the Democrats have been doing it, the way that the corporate Dems and leadership want to do it now, do you think that incubates an electorate that's primed to vote for authoritarianism or fascism?
That's such a
I think
good
it
question.
does, because I think it makes people
Wow.
apathetic. I think people say, well, yeah, my life didn't change. I still have healthcare costs. I still have Medicare costs. The wealthy keep getting wealthier. What changed in my life? And so then someone like a demagogue comes in and says, well, I'm going to tear this whole system down because the system's not working. And they're like, yeah, how much worse can it get? Well, it can get a lot worse, we're seeing. You can have ICE raids. You can have social unrest. It obviously can get worse. But then we just promise them, okay, well, undo the damage. Let's return to normalcy. No. Let's recognize that that Donald Trump fundamentally was a symptom of a broken system.
My king.
That we are living in something worse than the Gilded Age. That we've got people who don't have health care. I mean, the famous actor from Dawson's Creek who couldn't afford cancer treatment, so now his wife has a
bill?
GoFundMe page to keep her home. Because and we're producing more wealth than ever before, and we can't give everyone health care that a beloved actor can't afford it in this country. What hope is there for a firefighter or a nurse if they get cancer?
Yeah, no shit.
So people want a clear direction. And then they say, okay, Ro, but why not be pragmatic? Even if we win and if we don't have 60 votes in the Senate, then how are you going to get things done? How about we start with what our North Star is? How about we start with what the society we want to see is? And we
Ro
fight
Khanna for
like
fucking
anything
president. Jesus
to get
Christ.
there. If I had started out with the attitude, well, we can't get the Epstein files released, Ro, how are we going to get the president to sign it? How are we going to get the Senate to pass it? How are you ever going to get the speaker to bring it up? I wouldn't have started in the first place. Now, have we gotten the whole files released? No. But when you fight, when you make it a tenacious goal, and when you have a North Star, you get progress.
You got to fight.
And that's where the Democratic Party needs to be. And
He's right.
I think we would inspire people if we had that.
I completely agree. Do you think your centrist Democratic colleagues in the House understand the shift in the electorate, the shift in the blue and independent voters have, in my opinion, have really shifted away from corporate politics? Like, a lot of people had no idea what AIPAC was a year, 2 years ago. I'm one of those people. I had no idea what it was.
They're spending against me too. They're not happy.
So now you have organizations like Track AIPAC, and I have these friends in Oklahoma City that have never been that political before. Like, oh, we're not voting for a politician that takes AIPAC. The electorate is getting savvier. They're off the corporate media tit. They're on to the independent media, getting facts. Do your colleagues understand this shift in the American electorate? Because it is everywhere.
I don't think they fully get it yet. It's slowly. I mean, but what you have done and what you're describing, I think, is very important, because it used to be, I think, in Trump's first term, that there were a lot of resist liberals who said, okay, who's going to put up the fight against Trump and who's not?
Yeah.
And there were people on the kind of centrist lane who said, as long as we fight against Trump, as long as we show that we've got the fight, we're taking him on, it doesn't really matter if we don't say genocide. It doesn't really matter if we don't tax billionaires. It doesn't really matter if we don't have national health insurance. We don't have to take on these powerful interests. Why upset the billionaires? Why upset AIPAC? Why upset the private health insurance companies? Let's just win the vote by showing that we have got spine and are going after Trump. And I don't think that strategy works anymore, because a lot of the resist liberals that have also understood that to really defeat Trumpism, we have to change our society. That some of the anger that Trump voters had was anger at a broken system. And if that system
even Nick
stays
Fuentes
broken,
doesn't know what he's
you're going
pissed
to
off
continue
about.
to have uglier and uglier populism.
Honestly.
And, my anger is not with people who voted with Trump. My anger is that Trump sold them a bill of goods and manipulated their legitimate anger. And my anger is with our party not recognizing for decades
good job. Holy
what we
shit,
did.
this guy's
hollowed out
based.
towns, rural communities. You go through.
Bro, this guy is fucking based. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm sure you have, into places in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, where I grew up. Okay, steel left. Aluminum left. What did we do? When a kid growing up in my district, the world's their oyster. What's happening to kids in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and Warren, Ohio? And you're telling me, we can't get traditional manufacturing back. Yeah, we can have new industries, but what did we do there? Did we create childcare jobs? Did we create elder care jobs? Did we create tech jobs? Did we have any plan for a Marshall Plan for America? So you're there, and your life is worse off for your kids. And you're sitting there saying, why shouldn't I vote for someone new who's going to tear it down? And then Trump has combined this with race. Well, your life used to be better before Rose's parents got here. His nostalgia, his economic nostalgia, is combined with the racial nostalgia. Until we fix the economics, we're not going to build the kind of multiracial democracy that I believe is our country's destiny.
And I think I agree with you, everything you say. I also think the Democrats need to develop a 50-state strategy. I think Democratic representatives like yourself and others should go to states that aren't in your district.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what happens in like super MAGA, super majority states like Oklahoma. You have only one party rule. And so then they start out crazying each other. So you literally have, like, we were MAGA before MAGA ever came down the escalator, before Trump ever descended. So you have no mediating voice anywhere. And so the electorate gets so confused and involved in this kind of propaganda psychosis. And if they were to hear Democrats come and say, look, I'm a Democrat, I am not a Satanist, because that's what they think.
Yeah.
And I think that the Democrats are going to have to invest in all 50 states.
Totally
and
agree.
they might lose an election or cycle or two locally in Oklahoma or places, but it wasn't that long ago. Oklahoma had a Democratic governor in the 2000s. We were ranked
David Boren, right?
No, Kylie, what was his name? Brad Henry. And in the 2009, Oklahoma is ranked 17th in education. Now we're 50th.
Because they cut the funds.
Republican supermajority. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the Supreme Court, they have the governorship. And this is my whole thing with all of the MAGA bedwetters right now that are, wound up about Bad Bunny. You have everything you wanted. You've got Trump. You've got a submissive little pipsqueak Speaker of the House that will say, yes, sir, you want me to jump how high?
Right.
You've got the Senate. You've even got the Senate minority leader that writes strongly worded letters, and you're still mad.
Yeah.
You're still upset.
Yeah.
Why are you upset? Because the system sucks.
Yeah.
Because everybody's lied to you. Republicans have lied to you, and Democrats have lied to you.
Exactly.
And that type of messaging, people can say, oh, they're liberal or they're progressive or they're leftist. And it's just, it goes back to your North Star. Conviction. Having conviction, like, we only have this one life and this is our country. And are we really, really going to give it up for this old queen, Donald Trump? I mean, this cannot be the end.
And we've sacrificed, right? I mean, sacrifice of people in World War II and on the Edmund Pettus Bridge and in the Civil War. And, I fundamentally, because of my life story, when I was in law school, I was worked for Kathleen Kennedy Townsend, the daughter of Robert Kennedy, and one of the staffers said, "Well, you really have these great ideas and conviction, but as an Indian American of Hindu faith, you'll never get elected. So go work on this hill sometime."
Fuck you.
And I found this country to be amazing. I found that at any step where people said it's not possible, the country is fundamentally decent and fair. And I have spent, since I got to Congress, I was going to factory towns, rural towns for 10 years, to places like Johnstown, to places like Warren, to places like Paintsville in Kentucky. I was going on podcasts of people like Sean Ryan and Flagrant and conservative podcasts. And my belief is, if we're out there And we don't lie about what we believe. I don't go there and say, oh, I'm not for immigrant rights or I'm not for...
You don't cede ground.
You know, I don't cede ground. But I say, look, here's what I understand the economic future. Let's talk about what's actually going to get your kids jobs in the 21st century. Let's talk about why the elite class betrayed so many communities. Let's talk about how we build a new national purpose. And you go there with respect, and you go there with a vision, and you go there with conviction. Right. I believe most Americans, even if they don't vote for you, will say, yeah, okay, I see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And I think we need a belief in this country.
He would convince an average
country, which I
not really right-wing MAGA person.
And then we need to have a conviction. And by the way, if it doesn't work, you know, so what's the end of the deal? You won't be in Congress. You'll do something else. But that's how we make progress. That's how we move the country forward. The only thing that I will say, the survivors made Epstein happen. The only thing I think Massey and I had was a willingness to lose, a willingness to take risk. And I think anyone who wants to lead this party, whether in the House,
you will get so many fucking votes.
Needs to say,
if you have a willingness to lose.
I'm willing to lose for. What are the things I'm willing to believe?
Yes, sir.
Mamdani's right. Like 1%. You think he thought he was going to be mayor? No. Here's what he believes, and let it be out there. And if it's not your time, fine. You've made a contribution to the country. I really think that would.
You know what? I'm going to say it like this: as a streamer, like doing even 3 hours a night, I do. Like I can't fake myself. I'm not faking who you're seeing. This is not a fucking different person than if you were sitting across from me and we're having a conversation, this would be the same person you're talking to mostly. I'm a little bit tempered because I know I have to, obviously I won't say certain things but generally I'll speak like this in real life. Generally. There's not much I wouldn't say in real life that I don't say on Twitch.
So much of this risk aversion of the Democratic Party where people don't feel like we stand for something.
Right. I completely agree. I want to thank you so much. I know you have to get back to D.C. to keep fighting fascism. Tell Hakeem we want him to be a little tougher.
I got it.
We need it.
You're an important voice. You're such an important voice that in the week of Epstein, probably my busiest week of my 10-year career in Congress, I flew in this morning, and I'm flying back because what you're doing really matters.
See, and he knows where to stick himself and insert himself when he needs to. Okay, this guy is a brilliant politician. We need more Rokanas. Okay, we need 100 of these guys and women and people that are like Rokana. Oh my God, he's awesome. Holy shit.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, we'll see you later, listener.
Here's a little bit of a wake-up call for you guys for chat.
You just got $1 trillion. Not a million. Not a billion.
Nope, a trillion.
A trillion.
What Elon Musk is about to have.
Catch. You need to spend all of it in the next 24 hours, or you lose everything. This should be easy. First, you need a new car. Go to your local exotic dealership and buy yourself a Lambo. And a Ferrari. And a McLaren. You know what? Just buy up the entire dealership. Now, you have the $12 million garage of your dreams.
Okay.
But there's one small problem.
What?
In order to spend $1 trillion in 24 hours, you would need to buy out that entire dealership every single second. You need to think bigger. Let's hire 100 people to track down the 100 most expensive yachts and buy them for us. And let's throw in $1 million bonus for each mercenary. That'll be around a $40 billion check, but let's also buy the biggest cruise ship of all time for $2 billion and fill it up to maximum capacity, paying for everyone's tickets and tossing in a Rolex too. Let's make use of this ship's basketball court by buying up every single NBA team and having them battle it out. Then let's get Snoop Dogg, Katy Perry, Justin Bieber, and Beyonce to perform for us before sending them off to the International Space Station on a SpaceX rocket that costs $55 million per passenger. Now that you're hanging with rich people, you need a status symbol. You could buy the world's most expensive art piece for $500 million, but why would you do that when you could just buy the entire Metropolitan Museum of Art for $100 billion, and then we could go over to... Transaction failed. There's no way we're already out of money. Yeah, we still have $800 billion. The Metropolitan Museum is an educational institution whose assets are held for the public benefit and are not owned by...
Dumbass.
You know what? Forget about the Met. The entirety of New York City is worth around $1.3 trillion. There are currently 33,210 vacant units available, so let's hire 33,000 people to snatch those up for us. And
let's
of course,
go!
Throw in a 100K commission.
Go!
But here's something you need to think about. The most expensive real estate purchase in US history was this $240 million concrete brick. That might sound like a lot of money, but you spending $240 million is like an average person spending $60. I think instead of buying houses, you should build a mega project. The sky is truly your limit. You can build your project wherever you want. If there's people in the way, buy them out with your pocket change. Or maybe try the Saudi Arabia method and relocate them into a graveyard. Actually, I think the Middle East is exactly where we need to go. So let's buy one Gulfstream G650 for each day of the year and fly across the world. Welcome to the Arabian Peninsula, where people will build literally anything. The world's biggest picture frame, the world's largest clock, the massivest cube, the tallest structure ever, man-made sinking islands shaped after the world map from memory. These are cool. Let's build an even bigger artificial island for $20 billion. Of course, we can't forget about labor cost, so for that, let's budget in $10. Then let's buy every single one of those mega projects I just showed you for a total donation of $101,292,010 to our Middle Eastern boys. But while you're here, take a look at the Burj Khalifa, the current tallest building in the world. If you were to stack $1 bills,
he's joking about how they use slave labor,
would be worth $7.58 million.
Which isn't a joke,
you still
but I
need
get
to
it.
spend 87,000 times that. A stack so high it would go past the International Space
Oh, look,
Station.
Katy Perry's
If
like,
you ever
oh, I
want to
saw
spend
it.
this money, you need to stop thinking in real estate and start thinking in 51st state.
Yep.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
I
Buy
do.
a country. In 2010,
Let's
the country
go!
of Liechtenstein put itself on Airbnb at 70 grand a night. This is literally nothing. You can't be looking at countries hoeing themselves out for pennies. You need the ultimate prize.
That's nothing.
Somewhere cooler. Somewhere
This guy's
strategic.
hilarious.
Let's buy Greenland. Based on the market price of its mineral reserves,
This
the
is
world's
Trump.
biggest island has a price tag of around $200 billion.
Oh, easy.
We can afford that. But there's one small thing in our way. During Trump's first term, when he proposed the conquest of Greenland, the country dismissed the idea as completely ridiculous and firmly stated that Greenland is not for sale.
Oops.
Huh. Let's buy an F-35 for $80 million. Fuck it. 2 F-35s. 3, 10, 100. 2 aircraft carriers, 3 destroyer ships, 1 ballistic missile submarine, 57,000 Blackwater soldiers, 1 for every citizen of Greenland. Now we have a $50 billion makeshift military, and it looks like Greenland's for sale after all. But by this point in your trillionaire spending spree, people are starting to take notice. Your exploits might not have hit TikTok yet, but rumblings are beginning behind closed
That was the
governmental
guy
doors.
from the
Luckily
fucking
for
lights.
you, there's not much politicians can say once you own them. Buy a politician. We got Trump here for $1.5 billion. Kamala is almost $2 billion, but you do get a free Joe Biden.
Add to
Let's
cart.
buy both of those and every sitting member of the Senate and House for a grand total of $7.2 billion for the entirety of
Easy.
American
Oh,
politics.
that's cheap.
This is a great deal, but there's a catch. Money influences politics, but it doesn't always decide it. I mean, look at the presidential race. Democrats outspent Republicans and still lost because $2 billion can't buy aura. More recently, Elon dropped millions of dollars campaigning for an election in Wisconsin, only to find out that shit no longer works when everyone hates you. Even BlackRock doesn't always get what they want.
Yeah, fuck you, BlackRock.
$1 trillion gives you access to almost everything. But culture and public perception are things that are not for sale. Just kidding. Let's buy every single media company. The Washington Post, Time Magazine, the New
Just
York
kidding,
Times, Comcast, Fox. Global ad spend for an entire year is around $1 trillion. That averages to $3 billion a day. So let's run 1 week straight of propaganda and we should be good. But if you're still getting heat, there's one final method you can use. A donation a day keeps the guillotine away. It's time for philanthropy.
Yep.
There are a lot of causes to choose from, but you
Keeps
should
the
start off with
guillotine
the
away.
people most in need. The U.S.
$1 a day
America is
keeps
currently
the
$36
guillotine
trillion
away.
broker than a homeless person.
That's
that
correct.
number is increasing by $2 trillion a year. Luckily, we now have
$1
you.
a
$220
day
billion honestly isn't going to do
keeps
much,
the
but it's definitely
guillotine
gonna
away.
help. Assuming, of course, that the U.S. government efficiently manages a $250 billion cash injection. You might be wondering how you're going to send the money. And the answer is
Bitcoin.
Pay.gov, an official website where you can make donations to the U.S. government
nice.
to reduce the public debt. So let's
What?
just enter in your $220 billion right here and... Well, turns out the maximum amount the Treasury accepts is only
what?
$1 million.
What?
You just bought the government a bag of screws from Lockheed Martin. Maybe your money will put a bigger dent into medical debt. See, unlike the government, broke people dying of cancer aren't allowed to print more money to pay off their crippling obligations. Instead, their unpaid debts get sold off to collections for pennies on the dollar. But because of this discount, charities like Undo
this shows you how
Medical
much
Debt
money
can
these
erase
people have,
$100
guys.
worth of debt for every $1 donation they receive. And with that ratio, you could wipe out all the medical debt in the US for just $2.2 billion. But what about world hunger? The UN estimated it would take $40 billion each year to end world hunger by 2030. We could afford that. Next, how about we help out malnourished and starving college students? Student loan debt in the US totals $1.777
We could easily take care
trillion,
of
with the government loaning out
that with Elon Musk
87.2 billion a
10%.
year. But before we try to attack this, there's a slight problem. Once universities catch wind that trillionaire Jesus is bailing out their victims, they'll probably just jack up their prices. On top of that, paying off loans might be seen as unfair to older generations who had to pay their way through college and pick themselves up by their bootstraps. Turns out philanthropy isn't as easy as it seems.
It's not easy.
It's
Building
actually-
Amazon was not easy. Philanthropy is very similar. It's really hard.
I agree with Jeff here. Let's just buy another $500 million yacht.
Yep.
That's enough philanthropy for today. You still have
But that's
$60 billion
philanthropy.
left,
What?
and I think I know how to spend it. It might be semi-cheating, but hear me out. 37% of Americans can't afford an unexpected purchase over $400. Being a trillionaire, your passive income earns you $400 every 0.126 seconds. The median net worth under 35 is $39,000. As a trillionaire, you could exchange your toilet paper with rolls of $39,000 bills for your entire lifetime and it wouldn't put a dent in your
Let's
finances.
go.
$1 trillion gives you horizons incomprehensible to the normal paycheck-to-paycheck living human. Even after your spending spree, you still have so much money left that it gives you too many options. You could launch space programs, clean up the ocean, fund institutions. 24 hours just isn't enough time for this much fun. So let's buy more time. Make yourself a trust and safely store your money in it. Now, all of those humanity-shifting endeavors, you can sleep on them on the world's most expensive bed.
Yep. You will make $6 billion per year passively forever.
So here is Bill Maher talking with Nancy Mace.
Did you guys get that? So even if you make it only 50 billion.
The relentless drive, the Zionists who are arguing now is our time to reform the image of Israel because Larry Ellison now owns TikTok and there's no more images that people are seeing. And there is a significant chunk of Zionist thought that is completely diluted. And this too, like here is Bill Maher, and this is like sort of, this isn't unique to Bill Maher, although Bill Maher is uniquely convinced of how righteous and right he is. And he is so wrong. He exposes himself for being such a shill, but also an idiot. Yes. I'm sorry. This is, you have to be stupid to think that anybody with half a brain isn't going to be able to pick apart what he's about to say right now.
If you don't know what's going on in Nigeria, your media sources suck. You are in a bubble. Not, and again, I'm not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They've killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burned 18,000 churches. This is so much more.
All right, pause it. Let's just stop right there with the premise. So he says they. I just want to point this out. We're going to start it over again. He says they. The numbers he's giving aren't the ones that I've seen. I've seen about half that, maybe 55,000, which is not good, obviously, over the course of the past 17 years. He says they. Maybe he gets to Boko Haram, but just listen again now.
This is so much more. These are their Islamists, Boko Haram. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this?
Thank you. Because no one will talk about it, so thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Nancy Mace has no idea about this at all. But here's a couple of differences between Israel killing 70,000 is a minimum. We know that Israel now accepts the health ministry numbers, but these are, we still have bodies under the rubble. We have had, these are the most conservative numbers. 70,000 killed. If you want to say 100,000 have been killed in Nigeria, let's use his number. Boko Haram is not a government. It is not a government. We call it a terror organization or a militant organization or a rebel organization, but it is not a government. B, we do not fund, as a country, Boko Haram. In fact, to the extent that this country has done anything in this conflict, we have provided to the Nigerian government some military assistance and aid.
Can we bomb them on Christmas?
Yeah, we'll have, so the kids that would be protesting would be theoretically what? Protesting against the terror group? Like, why wasn't he calling for, where are the kids protesting? When people are protesting against the Iraq War, was Bill Maher saying, why aren't people protesting Al-Qaeda or the Taliban? It's because when you protest against the Taliban from the United States, you make zero difference. But our government is funding this genocide.
Yep.
We are literally enabling it. It is not possible to happen without our help. Like that, like it is so, first of all, it's disingenuous because this guy's not doing stuff on Nigeria. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the only
it's just some talking point that he was given from like whatever Zionist sheet that he's supposed to crib. But putting that aside, don't make it about hypocrisy. This is one of the dumbest possible arguments you could make. The protests against what this government is doing in supporting Israel are not valid because the protesters aren't protesting a militant organization that the U.S. is already, if to the extent that they're involved in it all, is fighting against. It's so dumb. They like literally would be saying to like, I don't know, people in Minnesota did not protest when ICE was in Charlotte. Yeah. So why are they doing it now? Where were they when they were in Charlotte? How come you don't see any protests in Minnesota about ICE and what they're doing in LA? I don't see one sign in Minnesota saying ICE out of LA.
Bill Maher, he doesn't cite a source in that clip, but he talks about media diets. And I would just recommend folks this piece in Current Affairs recently, how the U.S. manufactured a Christian genocide claims to attack Nigeria. And just a paragraph that I'll read here. Meanwhile, even many religious institutions in Nigeria, which are perceived as being divided by their religious identities, are fighting back against this politicization of religious identity. In 2023, the Christian Association of Nigeria and the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs issued a joint statement calling for unity to deter foreign actors from using religion as an element for political manipulation of the people of Nigeria. Now, that's obvious, and it should be known by anyone who purports to like care about religious strife. The fact that it's overlooked is because they're just helping propaganda by people like Eric Prince and Marco Rubio, who are interested in the gold in this country and will foment violence in order to get access to it.
pandemic anxiety remembers Michelle Obama's Bring Our Girls Home campaign against Boko Haram. I mean, but just the idea that just in general, you can't protest this if you don't protest that is absurd. But comparing protesting a country that our government is enabling to one that our government is, it's not a government, it's not a country, but that our government, to the extent that it's weighing in on the side that he's talking about, it's absurd.
Yeah. A lot of these, I've seen Zionists say that white people are being genocided in South Africa too. It's the same sort of thing, which you sensationalize violence against your in-group and disregard it by your out-group. The Muslims are killed at least as much as Christians in Nigeria.
Calling from a 267 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from? 267. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Andrew from New York.
Andrew from New York. What is on your mind?
I probably should have called in yesterday. I missed the show. But you guys were talking about Zoran's endorsement of Hochul and all about like strategic, what could be our demands from Zoran under Hochul, seeing that, they were so ready to do the universal childcare, which was awesome. I'd love to hear, what you guys think we could ask more of from Zoran, with this sort of, I don't know the word.
I'm not 100% sure I know what you're asking. I mean, look, he's got to freeze the rent for the rent stabilized.
Mm-hmm.
We want the free and fast buses. These are his main campaign pledges. Free and fast buses. Mm-hmm. The universal child care. What remains on the universal child care is a dedicated funding mechanism, which is going to come in the form of increased taxes on probably the wealthiest in New York, and it's also going to have to come from the state as well. That remains to be seen, and he's certainly going to be trying to deliver on that. And then there's the pilot program with the grocery stores, which I think, frankly, is I don't think that's very heavy lift.
It's not exactly turning every grocery store into a free publicly owned grocery store.
No, it's like 5 grocery stores. And it's going to be a pilot city program, essentially. So I think, somebody's asking on the IM, Mike from Texas, does this early endorsement from Mamdani and Delgado dropping out mean that Mamdani got enough assurances from Hochul on his priorities? I guess we're going to find out.
I think it more shows that, if the Delgado campaign needed that endorsement for it, I don't know if it was set up to win. That's my initial reaction on it.
So we'll see, but I appreciate the phone call. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show.
My next curiosity about you is I see you collab with Tucker Carlson a lot. And so I want you to tell me about that, because Tucker to me is a very dangerous person because he speaks to a lot of people in middle America that have extreme homophobia, extreme transphobia. And I have so many gay friends in Oklahoma that are bullied by their churches, their families, their governments. And he recently was saying FAGGOT multiple times. And he is clear-eyed on Israel, but I feel like that his position on Israel is also wrapped in, this is my opinion, in some anti-Semitism the same way his homophobia is. And I wanted to get your take on that.
I don't think he's anti-Semitic. I don't at all, actually. In fact, he has even in the past supported Zionism. But I think once he realizes how detrimental.
Donald Trump isn't anti-Semitic because in the past he supported Zionism.
You mean Tucker?
Oh, well, no, I was just making the example of Donald Trump as a fucking, the Jews will not replace us, Tiki Torch guys. Oh, there were some good people on both sides. Tucker Carlson, again, same example. But think about that, guys. Steve Bannon has supported Zionism, who was the fat bastard? Mike Pompeo.
Lots of anti-Semitic people support Zionism.
Exactly. It's literally, we've talked about it on our show. Evangelicals who hate Jewish people and think that they killed Jesus still support Zionism so that the United States has geopolitical control of Jerusalem. That's insane.
Yeah, and even regardless of the crazy comment about how his past support of Zionism somehow gets him off the hook for his modern day current anti-Semitism, like what? That doesn't make no fucking sense. But even disregarding that, he is fucking anti-Semitic. Anna just straight up says he's not anti-Semitic. He is. He's a Nazi. He was literally arguing with Piers Morgan about how the UK shouldn't have fought the Nazis, how it was a giant mistake for England to get involved in World War II because it wasn't their battle. All this crazy shit, how England, the downfall of the UK is a direct result of them choosing to fight the Nazis. This dude is 100% anti-Semitic. There's no doubt about it. For Anna to continue with this lie is straight up journalistic malpractice. It's a total disservice to her audience. And it's just disgusting glazing. And you're about to find out why in a second, at least part of the reason why. But this is shocking.
I don't think he's anti-Semitic. I don't at all, actually. In fact, he has even in the past supported Zionism. But I think once he realizes how detrimental the U.S. alliance with Israel really is, he's kind of moved off of supporting Israel in the same way that he has in the past. I really don't think he's anti-Semitic. I think you raise a valid point about his views on, gay people. I definitely do agree with you on that. And I disagree with him. I have a completely different view when it comes to gay people, gay rights, gay marriage, and all of that. But in regard to the anti-Semitic question, I don't think he's anti-Semitic at all. In fact, he's pretty well read on the issues that hurt us due to our relationship with an alliance with Israel. And he articulates that regularly.
Bro, he's literally anti-Semitic. If you have fucking Nick Fuentes on for a softball interview, you're probably anti-Semitic. If you fucking do World War II revisionism, where you argue that the Nazis maybe shouldn't have been defeated, and that maybe Hitler wasn't actually even the biggest villain of World War II, you're probably fucking anti-Semitic. Anna knows about this shit. She's literally lying to all of us, lying to her audience, lying to Gin and Pumps here, to protect her friend Tucker. It's crazy.
And this is all predicated on the fact that he's now sincere in his political coverage as it comes to Israel and Palestine, right? Like if we are to believe Anna, right? Like, oh, this is how he feels. He had an evolution from his former Zionism. But we also covered just the other day on this show, Gavin, Tucker Carlson in a room full of oil executives that had cheer-led the regime change in Venezuela, right? Anna loves to come out and talk about Tucker's anti-regime change. No, he's not. He literally stood with the president of the United States and a bunch of oil executives and applauded him as they stole access to oil in Venezuela. And guess what happened to that oil, guys? Guess what happened to that oil? Venezuelan oil shipped to genocidal Israel through Italy. That's what they're doing with that oil that they just took. They're sending it to fucking Israel, okay? Tucker doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit at all. He cares about his bottom line. Go Google Tucker Carlson oil ties with Donald Trump. They've all been deeply advocating for an end to sanctions on Venezuela, not because they care about the Venezuelan people, but because they want to go in there, fucking depose Nicolas Maduro, and then own all of the resources there, all of the oil industry. That's what Tucker Carlson has been up to, and he doesn't give a fuck that he's selling it back to Israel. So Anna is lying on every level here.
And by the way, I mean, he had asked me to go on his show, his podcast, a year and a half in advance of me finally agreeing to do it. And part of the reason why I wouldn't do it initially is because I just thought there's no redeeming quality about this guy. There's no use in having a conversation with him. But his producers were so persistent that I finally decided, okay, fine, I'll listen to his podcast. I'll make an informed decision and see if there's maybe a possibility that I'll do this interview. And I do think he gets taken out of context a lot. He's definitely deeply conservative.
And by the way, a little bit of an admission there that she basically caved to the pressure from Tucker's people his producers, they kept reaching out and essentially courting her, as they have been Cenk. Now, both of them have been invited on Tucker. They both came on for a nice, softball interview, and then in return, they did a bunch of propaganda for Tucker. Right after Anna went on, she was out here talking about how, Tucker lives in this rural Maine home. He just lives like a normal working class guy up in rural Maine. He just has a modest little house, completely omitting the multiple mansions that he owns in Florida and around the country and world. She immediately started doing fucking propaganda for him. Same with Cenk. So this is a crazy admission from Anna that they were both, or at least her, was specifically courted by Tucker's producers. At first she had the right idea. She was like, fuck this guy, I'm not going to respond. But they kept persisting. They kept reaching out. They kept courting her. And again, this makes a lot more sense if you consider the theory that Tucker is gearing up for a presidential run.
Yep.
And wants to make inroads, not just with the populist right,
yep,
but with the populist left too, or whatever Tucker Carlson thinks that TYT.
He's definitely running for president.
Demographic-wise, whoever he thinks they appeal to.
100%. And it's also a massive self-report from Anna that she can't sit through one episode of Tucker Carlson and smell his bullshit. You're
I know, right?
Everybody to
You
believe
fucking
that
kidding
you're
me?
the one that needs to analyze the news and be a media critic. Because for all the shit that everybody gives us, you guys are the drama guard, you guys are the guard. TYT was predicated on the same fucking formula. Watch a video and give your fucking take on it, right? Read a news article and give your fucking take on it. They called themselves media watchdogs all the time. Okay, well now we're watching your ass, Anna. And how can we trust that you're the person that is capable of analyzing this and sussing it out when Tucker played you like a fiddle? He made you feel like a victim and then assuaged your concerns and validated your grievances, and you fell for it hook, line, and sinker. That's what happens to every divorced dad in America when they turn on his fucking show, Anna. And look at people in chat are pointing out. We talk a lot about Jennifer Welch, but look at the face on Angie Pumps here. Look at the face on Angie Pumps.
She's
That's
like,
a woman
huh?
that smells her bullshit and is ready to slug her across the fucking front.
Oh, Angie's about to kick.
And as we said, stay tuned because we're going to take a look at the comments shortly. The comments was
Not
not
good
any
on
of this
FPS.
shit. Obviously,
Not
Jen
good on
Pumps kept it
FPS.
classy despite their facial expressions in this moment. They were more than kind to Anna. But let's watch some more of this because Anna's going to keep digging even deeper and deeper here. And again, Jen's going to make an excellent point, sort of echoing what we've been saying and what Francesca said about Tucker's potential presidential ambitions.
So obviously we're going to have disagreements. But look, ladies, like to me, the most important thing right now is to free the United States from Israel. And if there are people on the right who agree with me on that, I am willing to work with them on that issue.
If there are Nazis on the right who want to work with me, I'll work with them. That's what she literally just said.
To build a coalition for that specific issue and apply pressure to get our politicians to act in the way that we demand. Otherwise, if you do everything through the prism of partisan politics, we will be exactly where we are today, which is nowhere. No progress, no nothing. I've been doing this for 20 years, and that's been my experience.
I am cautious about the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Tucker Carlsons because they say that they care about Palestinian lives and these Palestinians getting killed. Marjorie Taylor Greene speaks about Palestinian Christians. That's her carve out. But when you don't have that same empathy towards the queer kid that lives in rural America, or the trans population, which is less than 1%, that really doesn't even want to be spoken about at all. They don't want to be in political discourse. And the immigrant population in the United States, and you make a carve out, I always think it's a real red flag. And I think there's a danger in both of their voices because I know when they speak and they say negative things about Israel, at the exact same podcast, they're bashing gay people, they're bashing immigrants. Because I lived in red state America, it falls in the ears of people that are wholly bigoted, that their ethos.
I like how she has to explain this to Anna, like Anna's a child, by the way. Like how obviously people like Tucker Carlson aren't sincere, how obviously they're bigoted anti-Semites, and that you shouldn't just take them at face value because the broken clock is right twice a day or whatever. Like, come on, Anna. And Anna looks pissed. She looks like she's,
she's not happy
wanting to have to sit through this lecture.
This is Anna's worst nightmare because she actually is engaging with somebody
who
is to
who
her
can
left
fuck her,
meaningfully,
and she can.
And thank God, Jennifer Welch has the patience of a saint.
I know, right?
She
I
is,
agree.
She's just calmly and politely explaining the political reality to someone who has the audacity to be like, no, I've been doing this for 20 years. And it's like, dude, but you're making yourself look like a fool. You sound like an idiot right now. You sound like you have no idea what you're talking about. So I'm trying desperately to
killing
pull
us.
you in because
They're killing
I've
us.
been told you
They're
are
killing
the
us. They're
co-host
killing
of
us.
the largest progressive podcast
Not good.
on YouTube, and I'm trying to hear you out, and all you're saying is a bunch of bullshit, right? But she says it so calmly that Anna can't get triggered. She can't get mad. She can't act like she's the victim. This is someone calmly and politely disagreeing with her, and it's showing Anna's whole ass.
Y'all, let's keep going. It gets even worse, guys.
Is white supremacy and bigotry. And that's why I see them as kind of being dangerous messengers. I agree. I don't think it's a big deal that you sit down with Tucker Carlson and y'all aired shit out. I don't think that's that big of a deal at all. I'm worried about the incubation. If you think about George W. Bush incubated Trump, and when I think about what is Trump incubating, and I see Tucker Carlson in these clips being critical of Trump, and then I see this whole Venezuela oil thing, and he's standing there clapping like a seal, taking pictures with Trump. And I see the duplicity and the hypocrisy. So I don't trust
Venezuelan oil that's going to Israel, Anna.
Yeah.
Anna. Going to Israel.
I'm so glad that people are talking about this now. It makes me feel less
Going
crazy,
to
'cause me
Israel.
it seems like, yeah, obviously Tucker has
Especially
ambitions beyond just like talking to Obama's ex-gay lover in his shitty main studio. Like, yeah, he wants power. He wants at least
my
more
ears are so
attention.
cool.
I think there's a very good chance he runs in 2028, specifically, Zach, for the aforementioned reason that the competition might be pretty thin.
Am I non-binary?
There might be some wild cards like
Seems like I
Thomas
might be.
Massey or something like that. But if you're Tucker Carlson
Cool if I
and
am.
you're looking at the field of fucking JD Vance and Little Marco,
I feel like I'm
like just the
non-binary.
most mid fucking losers in the entire
She's
party.
non-binary.
If I was
They're
Tucker, I'd be
they're
like,
non-binary
fucking
coded.
Wipe the floor with these people. I
Another
think I have
good shot.
way more fans and way more influence
Left,
than
left, left.
fucking Little Marco or JD Vance combined. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an easy decision from Tucker's perspective.
Wish
The
I
more
had
I
a heel
think about it,
character today.
specifically if he can get someone like Marjorie on his team, woo, we're looking at a dark. That's a dark forecast, guys.
I completely agree. I would say if Tucker announces, I don't think there's anyone in the Republican primary right now that could beat him. I think Tucker could do away with Thomas Massey. I really think he could. I think he would highlight how
damn it.
unpopular a lot of Thomas
They're
Massey's
coming.
libertarian beliefs are with the modern Republican Party. And I think that he could. I think he just has. And I hate Tucker Carlson.
He has star power, though.
Yeah, I think he's stupid. I think that the way he talks is annoying as shit. I think he's ugly,
I agree.
tomato-faced, and when he asks stupid questions, like, do you really think that I am involved with Israel? My dad was involved with the intelligence agencies? It's like, yeah, you fucking are, and you have the Swanson fortune, and we all know, but you will say that dumb, like, fucking perplexed question face? I
Oh
just
my
think
God, I
Americans
can't
are
believe
used
you
to it,
said
and
that
we
about
talked
me.
about how powerful it was that Donald Trump was the reality TV president. Gavin, I think Tucker Carlson will be the political pundit president. If that could be the dark route. Like, I think AOC could beat him. I think that, you know, there's ways the Democrats could beat him. But if they go with a Josh Shapiro versus a Tucker Carlson, like that, that's a fucking bad situation for the Democrats.
Oh, it's bad. And again, almost regardless of who the Democratic nominee is, even if it's someone better than Josh Shapiro, I can guarantee you right now I would put fucking money on it that Jink and Anna would support the Tucker ticket. The Republican ticket led by Tucker Carlson over the Democrats. Again, even if it's someone better than like Josh Shapiro or Gavin Newsom. I think they would be all in on Tucker. Again, that's why we keep telling you guys, don't fall for this phony bullshit apology from Anna where, oh, I'm so sorry because it's inconvenient now for you to
they got me.
be a MAGA Karen.
Got no
But she's
stamina,
still
I can't
laying the
run.
groundwork. She can't stop. She's still laying the groundwork to be the #1 Tucker cheerleader, assuming he runs, which again, now Francesca has speculated about. Jennifer Welch
We're too
is
strong.
speculating about. It seems pretty obvious. I think it's a great comparison too about how
It's Jover.
George Bush kind of incubated the Donald Trump presidency, and now you could look at Tucker in a similar way, where I'm sure he'll pretend to be against some of the most unpopular
That disarm is
aspects of
strong, honestly.
MAGA and Trumpism, just like how Trump pretended to be against Bush's warmongering, right? And I think Tucker will be very effective in convincing people that, oh, I'm changed and I'm different now, because look how easily someone like Anna fell for it. Look how easily someone like Jane fell for it. If even they're gonna fall for it, yeah, a lot of fucking idiots will.
The intentions of his messaging on Israel as much as I would somebody else who preaches universal human rights, who doesn't prioritize one group over the other, who will say, I don't understand.
No, wrong target.
I get it. It's not my thing, but it's not my business, and I'll fight for their right. Just like you said about Christianity
Metal Skin is so cool,
in that
bro.
viral clip.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would agree with you had Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson, for that matter, not revisited their previous statements about, let's say, Muslim people, and
Corn Cob is insane,
made very clear that they were wrong. In the case of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Candace Owens, by the way.
What?
Talked about this at length.
I only
where
got
they're
4K,
we
bro. I
realized that
suck.
we were totally misled, and we bought into the fear mongering about Muslim people, right? So,
Slay.
like, in the case of Tucker Carlson, something that I was kind of shocked to see, honestly.
And by the way, the only reason why either of them made that admission or whatever is because now their new boogeyman is just Jewish people, and they're both just all in on anti-Semitism, which is like the new hot thing on the right. Back in the Bush era, it was Islamophobia. Now idiots like Nick Fuentes have made have made anti-Semitism the new hot thing, where everyone's like, let's obsess over this ancient form of fucking bigotry and, you know, spin ridiculous conspiracy theories and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah,
right?
no, we got the Jewish
so I think if
population on our
Candace Owens
side.
is absolutely fucking insane. I would not be shocked if Anna Kasparian like just straight up watches guys like Nick Fuentes behind the scenes and isn't revealing it or isn't talking about it here.
Oh, 1,000,000%. She's plugged into that, you know, Red Scare, Candace Owens, like, you know, the, you know, alternative media. I mean, she was talking about fucking General Douglas McGregor, right? That's a niche pull.
I mean, it's
You're
one
either a
thing to
tanky
know.
or a weird white supremacist if you're talking about that guy, okay? Gavin and I barely covered that guy. All right, you're like, whoa, man, really? It's kind of like when people talk about Scott Ritter. I'm like, what? You're going for the pedophile guy? That's your guy? And I can't take my eyes off of Pumps in this entire exchange. She still hasn't said anything. She's like mean mugging the fuck out of Anna. After Anna brought up Candace Owens, she starts blinking at like 4 times the rate. She can't believe her eyes. It's so relatable.
Yeah. Also, great point, Kelsey, that Jennifer's mentioned trans rights 3 or 4 times.
Oh, yeah, I
3
said it
times,
too.
And Anna ignores it every time. Whenever she does mention LGBT
Right.
rights, she excludes the word trans or talking about the trans community and just boils it down to like, oh, I support gay marriage or whatever.
Yep.
But she seemingly intentionally is leaving out the fact that she disagrees with Tucker on trans issues too, which is, you know, worth pointing out. Just a couple seconds left on this, and then we're going to take a look
it's
at the
worth
comment
pointing out,
section,
isn't it? Because
which you
Jennifer
guys should
asked
be real
twice on
excited
purpose because she
Sure,
knows she's a
Renee
transphobe.
Good was shot and killed by ICE. He put out a newsletter kind of condemning the right for making light of it, or even in some cases celebrating it. And he basically said, like, this is a human life, and what happened is not okay. And so to me, it's those moments where he's willing to kind of buck his own side, for lack of a better word. And he really gets nothing out of it. I mean, he doesn't get any influence in terms of the Trump administration by condemning Trump's foreign policy. And in regard to him being in the room, I mean, look, I agree. It's not a good look, especially when you're clapping after you did a lengthy segment condemning what the White House did in Venezuela. But at the same time, I know that he probably wants to influence Trump in the right direction on foreign policy, and you're not going to be able to influence him unless you're in the
I bet you didn't think about that, Zach. I bet you didn't think. I bet you're going to change all your commentary now on the Tucker applauding the Venezuelan thing
try
now.
FSR
You've heard
too.
Anna's brilliant explanation as to why it happened. He was trying to secure more influence, bro. Yeah, no fucking shit. So are all these idiots. They're all trying to fucking secure more influence. That's what's so disgusting about it, motherfucker. They're willing to go applaud Trump's war crimes in this desperate, pathetic pursuit of power. How can you not hear yourself?
It's like she's like, well, you know, it is noteworthy that his public position is different than his private position.
Oh, really?
Like, you would have been you did blast the fuck out of Hillary Clinton for that. You were still on the Young Turks back then. You were like, no, you owe it to people to be transparent. Tucker Carlson gets up in front of his fucking audience and lies, and she never ever grapples with that. She wants to, oh, he apologized. Did he apologize for the fucking lies he spread about Dominion voting that cost Fox News and the Murdochs, which I don't give a shit, but it cost them hundreds of millions of dollars because he defamed that organization? How about the fact that he fucking over and over and over again has done propaganda for the Russian government, including going all the way to Russia to a grocery store talking about how cheap and affordable everything is when it's not cheap and affordable, right? It's absolutely insane. So to see him after we've seen text messages in court of him confessing to not believing anything that he says, we have multiple people who have come on the Vanguard and be like, oh yeah, Tucker, when he worked at CNN back in the day on Crossfire, he loved to smoke cigarettes and tell everybody he didn't really mean anything he said. He just needed, he liked to stir the pot and whatnot. He's been a phony his whole life. He has text messages that came out in court that said he fucking hated Donald Trump right before he kissed Donald's ass for 2 more years. So it's just crazy what a fucking liar and an obvious fool this guy is. Yep. And to simp for his oil fucking barren behavior.
It wasn't the best look, but what you gonna do if you're Tucker Carlson? You kind of have to do it. Like, why are you even making excuses for this? It's so fucking disgusting.
Yeah,
it's so fucking disgusting.
It was crazy.
Yeah. So again, this is almost over. It's crazy how at the end here, Anna has to just keep. She can't just offer a fucking simple criticism of Tucker Carlson without a million caveats and also sprinkling in praise for Candace Owens. It's crazy.
So, I'm speculating about his intentions there, but I hear what you're saying about wanting to be cautious. I also want to make space for people who change their minds,
make
right?
space.
And so if they come out and say, I was wrong, I'm sorry, I've changed my mind on this, whether it be on Muslim people or any other issue, I want to allow space for them to be forgiven and to prove.
If you admit you were wrong about Muslims, you get a free pass to be a Nazi.
Yeah, what?
Get off the hook.
What?
What?
Guys, I'm sorry
fuck,
I
dude?
said that Muslim people were gorillas and monkeys and all deserve to be killed. But now I'm going to start saying that about Jewish people instead.
Yeah.
That's a real ally. Make that man president. Like, what the fuck, bro? This is so crazy that Anna's so dumb. She can't realize that she's being used as a useful idiot after being courted by Tucker, which she stupidly admitted to.
Yep.
Courted by Tucker and his producers, who persistently begged her to come on the show, get a softball interview, and then do propaganda for all of eternity in response, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, bro, it was just one interview. What, did he fucking pay you off? Why are you
he paid
giving him this much praise? It sounds like you're his fucking press secretary. Like, Anna literally sounds like she is like the fucking Karine Jean-Pierre to Tucker Carlson, or whoever what's her name? Carolyn Levitt or whatever.
Carolyn Levitt. I always want to say Pam Bondi, but that's not who it is.
Yeah. Either way, it's like literally the role she plays. It's like, you don't have what did he threaten you? Does he have some fucking blackmail? What is going on? It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. And honestly, shout out to Gin and Pumps for keeping their composure and not just snapping at Anna.
Yeah.
Because I mean, imagine listening to this shit. Imagine like you have this person on because you respect them or whatever, and then they just start spewing this absolute bullshit at you. Just like, what do you even do? I guess, keep it classy. If you're Gin and Pumps, I would have had some more pushback, but shout out to them for hosting this interview.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to take a look at these brutal comments down here, including some by Vanguardians?
Yeah. Do you have it on your tab, or you want to just scroll down?
Oh yeah, we can scroll down right here. That works for me. If we pull in, I noticed top one, Vanguard member Susie Stone. Shout out to you, Susie Stone. We've had a lot of great conversations over the years. Ask Anna about how much empathy she has for trans and homeless people. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The first comment. And as people in our chat even pointed out, whenever Jennifer Welch would make a strong point about trans people or queer people, Anna would tepidly agree in terms of commentary on gay folks and then immediately stop talking about it.
Yeah, 100%. Even after Jen went out of her way multiple times to articulate a defense for the trans community and, specifying just how marginalized they actually are and how, what a tiny percentage of the population they make up. But let's keep going. Anna pretended Project 2025 wasn't a thing leading up to the election. Shake my head. Political science major, which is 100% true. You guys should definitely watch Francesca Fiorentini's recent video where she cuts together a bit of a compilation of Anna's most embarrassing statements right up before the re-election of Donald Trump. That one, I think, takes the cake. I think it's the most embarrassing. I think literally a 5-year-old could have told you that Trump was going to do Project 2025. Literally a fucking idiot could have told you that. So super embarrassing. Another person pointing out what people in our chat have pointed out. Wow, she didn't acknowledge any of the trans points you were making, which again, Jen went out of her way to articulate several times. Really appreciated that.
Yeah, this one also, I agree that might have been the worst, most shameful take from Anna, but a close second for me was when she implied and just downright suggested on air that the reason that rent was out of control in California was because so many undocumented people had moved to Los Angeles and they were owning all of the apartments, and that we couldn't have any more people come into Los Angeles because rent was already so high. I shit you not. 2 people, one for sure, one I'm almost positive, supported real estate tycoon Rick Caruso for mayor of Los Angeles, want you to believe it's the undocumented immigrant responsible for the housing crisis. It's their fault you have to see homeless people in the streets of Los Angeles. And this person points out homelessness as a problem is caused by the wage disparity and the hoarding of wealth by the billionaires like Rick Caruso, who was supported by the Young Turks.
100%.
Anna has the same.
Says, thankfully, the comment section did not disappoint. Totally agree. Shout out to the I've Had It podcast.
Anna, with the same smug expression as Palm Bandy in the congressional hearing. That's the latest one 3 hours ago.
They understand the gospel. They're spreading the gospel.
That's the latest one 3 hours ago, folks. Holy shit. Okay. Wow. How powerful is Paige? She's strong. She's a 4. How powerful is this enemy? Extra stamina. I don't really know. 0. How fun is this to play against this hero? I really don't know. Motherfuckers. Alright, I gotta take the headphones off. I can't. Right. All right, we can do this now. Thought I'd play. I thought I was in queue. Like, I am in queue. Holy shit. Who mentioned fucking queue? Yeah. What, I get banned or something? I'm so bad. Hello? Why do they have rabbit hats on? Oh. Finally. Ram.
The hidden king awaits you. You
Want to go all purple, right? Purple. Purple. Hello. Check. Looks so good now. Peloton! Kill him. In here, in here.
Not nice. Dice on break. Let's take out guns. Stay out.
The Hidden King will pay for his arrogance.